year when you're the furthest point from the last season and from the next season.
And we are always live from the Family Leisure Studios in Memphis, Tennessee. And the first hour of our show is brought to you by the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis, Lexus of Memphis. There's plenty to get to today, but there's only one place to start.
Catch. And then the pick six to seal it. And one more play for the Georgia defense. Georgia on the mountaintop. Demons be gone, and the drought is over. National champions at long last.
The cheers, the screams, the agony of defeat that Georgia has had to go through. Finally, they win their first national championship since 1980. And if you'll listen, 41 years, that's a long, long time. If you'll listen there at the end of that, of course, longtime assistant Kirby Smart talking to his former employer, his former head coach, Nick Saban. Nick Saban said there at the end, if you caught it, you guys kicked our ass there in the fourth quarter. I think that's a fair assessment of what happened last night.
It is very fair, Gabe. Hail to the victors. I know that's somebody else's saying, but to the Georgia Bulldogs, first time since 1980, as I said yesterday. It was really close in 81 and 82. Herschel, he really could have won the Heisman all 3 years, and all 3 years be the national champion. And if he'd have come back for a fourth, same thing. But it's been a long time. It's been a lot of coaches. And finally, Kirby Smart, born to be the Georgia Bulldog coach from Bainbridge, Georgia, great player. Gabe, I covered him as a player, and now and know him okay as pretty well as a head coach, and I'm happy for them today. And he almost had to do it going through Alabama. Yep. He had to beat Nick Saban. He had to beat Alabama, and that was. It's a little bit like when you're playing golf and you make the birdie and your buddies, and you have to back it up. Beating Alabama was the confirmation for it. They would have taken it any way they could have gotten it against any opponent, but that makes it oh so sweet, especially in this Bama dynasty. I'm going to call it now. These two teams play each other twice next year. They meet in the SEC championship game. They meet in the college football playoffs.
We shall see. We have a long offseason ahead.
We do, and if they do that, and you just garner the split like Georgia and Alabama did this year, well, it means somebody's SEC champion and somebody's probably national champion.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
pretty good consolation.
I look at what happened last night, 33-18 Georgia. That first half, Brett, was boring football. That was not good football to me.
Gabe,
going to half 9-6.
You know I didn't mind it.
I know you love that
I didn't
stuff.
mind the defensive game, but we're not used to that kind of game. Remember a few years ago in the Super Bowl between the Patriots and the Rams was 13-3?
Yep.
The very next day on these airwaves, I said I didn't mind that kind of game, but I know the rest of the viewing public doesn't want that because we're not used to that anymore. We don't want that kind of football.
Yep, and it turned up in the second half. It started to get going. Of course, 27 points in the second half by Georgia, only 9 by Alabama. And Alabama, I look at what happened last night. All last night, and I want to start here by praying and saying it was really sad to see what happened to Jamison Williams last night. That was an ugly-looking injury, non-contact.
Same injury Mechie had.
Is it officially? Have they made a diagnosis?
In that post-game visit, Kirby asked Coach Saban, what about number one? What about Jamison? And he said, I'm afraid it's a ACL.
Yeah, and it looked like it, if we're being completely honest with you. It looked like maybe an MCL, too, the way his knee bent in there.
Everything went the wrong way, didn't
Yes,
it?
and that, if we're being honest, Brett, that changed the game completely. Bryce Young, after that, didn't have anybody to throw to. And I'd say the best chance he had to throw to somebody was it Ja'Cory Brooks?
Yeah, he made the big play in the Iron Bowl. But I'm not going to make any excuses. Injuries are a part of the game. Gabe, I think you've noticed it since the Sugar Bowl. Not one time have I said anything about Corral's injury, other than I wanted to throw up when I thought it was severe. I don't do that, and I don't think Alabama partisans do that, because if you remember, the national championship game that started this dynastic run, Who knows what would happen if Colt McCoy had been in there all night?
That's very true.
So you can't do that. You just simply give the victor their credit.
Well,
I can't stand excuse guy.
Oh, no question.
I cannot stand it. And you could not have made me on Ole Miss postgame on the Ole Miss radio network go on there and start boo-hooing and whining. Oh, if we'd had Matt on, there's not a prayer I'm going to do that, and it's not expected of me by anyone, and I'm not going to do it.
And Brett, the truth of it is
here or there.
The truth of it is. Didn't get a good game from Bryce Young. Didn't get a good game.
He was bad.
The run game was terrible, too. The run game never got going.
And that was Georgia. That was Georgia's defense, and that was Nakobe Dean. And I think yesterday when I had him number one player in the history of Georgia football on defense, he backed it up last night. That defense was rock steady, and they played well. Dan Lanning's last game.
Yeah, we noticed immediately that. You noticed immediately, though, it was going to be different.
Going to be different. Yeah.
Georgia, the blitzes they were bringing, very exotic, and they're actually getting after Bryce Young and making his internal clock speed up, which they didn't do in the first game.
And Gabe, at the line of scrimmage, I don't know the technical term. I bet you do, especially when the ball was on the short hash, how they would slant everything toward that hash mark and just make that tackle football box even smaller for the vaunted Alabama run game.
They were slanting. They were playing games all day with them. And
we used
Alabama,
to call that stunning. Does anybody call it that?
Yeah, no,
anymore?
you call it stunning. And if like real football, O linemen, D linemen, we'll call them games. They're playing games.
That's basically what we want. We want the real stuff from you, Gabe. Come on. We don't want anything inauthentic from you, do we?
But you call them stunts. You call them games. But Georgia did a good job getting 4 sacks on Bryce Young. Bryce Young, though, those 2 picks.
Dreadful.
Most inexcusable throws I've seen from him this year.
There's never been a quarterback with a 300-yard passing game that played worse than he did last night. And, Gabe, I'll repeat it when we have Brent Beard on at 4 o'clock to talk about the game more. I'll say it all the offseason. He won the Heisman Trophy almost by default. There just wasn't anybody else to turn and hand the stiff arm award to, and he had a great SEC championship game, and he had a great last 5 minutes at Auburn in overtime. Other than that, down the stretch of the year, except for Mississippi State, he wasn't that special down the stretch of the year.
But when you bring in statistically what he did and
in
what
toto,
he did all year,
that's right. In mass,
he made it.
Yep.
He made that offense go because their run game this year was not overly good. Their O-line was down. He had to move that offense, and he really did. And Nick Saban said that after the game, and when he had Will Anderson Jr. and Bryce Young next to him, he said, these guys brought us along all year. They deserve all the credit in the world.
He sure did.
We had some ups and downs, and there's no question about it.
Heck, put Will Anderson in at slot receiver. Get somebody that can catch the ball.
And I noticed, I like Slade Bolden as a player, but Slade Bolden without Jamison Williams and John Mechie next to him couldn't make that many. He relies very heavily on those guys being the focal point.
It's ultimate team sports. You know that as well as anyone. And again, no excuses, but those Alabama wide receivers, that's 5 stars that was coveted by everybody that has a football team, and they couldn't catch the ball.
Yes, and Ja'Cory Brooks is the only guy he had left that really could go make a play. And
he
even
had one
at the
late
end,
in the game, and he stuck up one arm.
That's what I'm saying.
He got 2.
He didn't make that play, and in the route itself, he was good on the release, but then he didn't really
finish.
He didn't really help Bryce Young on that, and that was a good throw by Bryce Young.
And
very good throw by Bryce Young.
The drop 84 had right before the block kick. That's the game. If Bama pushes that in, look, Stetson Bennett showed out in the fourth quarter, but he was as wobbly as he could be up to that point. And people were even thinking, I know Joel Klatt, who I'm not a gigantic fan of. I did like how he fought for football summer of 2020 when a lot of college football forces were trying to shut it down. So summer 2020 made for strange bedfellows. I fell in love with Danny Cannell and Joel Klatt during summer of 2020. Yeah, ooh. But
Joel Klatt I can deal with. Danny, the other guy, no.
But Joel Klatt got smeared with the same thing a lot of us were thinking. He tweeted, if J.T. Daniels can walk, get him on that field. And up to that point, that's how it looked for Stetson Bennett. He was that uncertain.
But you know what? That second half, and I think it was after the fumble, he played pissed after that. That whole offense,
sure
the defense played pissed all night. But the entire offense played pissed after that fumble. And what did you think of that fumble? I'll give my take after
It was an
this.
incomplete pass.
I agree. I thought it was
Move
ridiculous.
along. Bama thought it was.
Replay, and I want to hear everyone's opinion on this. 901-360-8255, Autos on Listen Line. I want to see what people, because I saw the groupthink on social media, on Twitter, was so dumb with this.
Yeah.
And I have
most groupthink is dumb.
Oh,
that's a good take.
It was awful because on the field, no one thought it to be possible that was a fumble and a clear recovery.
No one.
Not even the guy who recovered it.
Mm-mm.
Replay was never meant to do that.
He quit on the play because it was the incomplete pass.
Replay was never, ever meant to do that. And the fact that it's egregious to me because in that situation, you're going to stick with whatever call was on the field because it was close when you looked at the replay. It was close. I'll give you that. It could have come out there toward the back.
It's a tough job.
Although the ball flew forward, which was, it's hard to fumble a ball forward that way. But the call on the field should have been incomplete pass, and that should have stood instead of a fumble, clear recovery, standing. I thought that was one of, and if that would have gone against Georgia, and then Georgia loses that game, that would have been one of the worst calls in college football history.
And Georgia, they're sick to death of it, but it went Georgia's way. Yep. And now, if you'll remember, Gabe, at SEC Media Days, I had the quarterback of the last time Georgia won the national championship on with us, Buck Ballou, and he is just a really swell, nice man. And he said on the air with us, he said, last 41 years been great, but I'm ready for someone else to join me.
True.
I've had a good life. He's my age. He's 60, 61 years old. And it's been a good life. For Stetson Bennett, you're going to love the finest vacation homes in Sea Island, the finest vacation homes in Savannah, and Billy Payne's got the tab covered at Augusta National. Good next 41 years for you, Stetson Bennett.
My gosh, I think the Pike House had a mean party in Athens last night. Did you see Stetson Bennett on Good Morning America this morning? Lord.
He couldn't focus. I know the
Brett,
feeling.
I'm just going to say it right now.
Well, I've never been on Good Morning America, but I know the feeling of not being able to focus the next morning.
This does not need to be a judgment. This does not need to be anybody.
We've been there.
He was hammered.
He was. I bet he had something cold and frosty right off screen.
He was wasted, and I don't blame him one bit.
So that's his friend at Georgia. He's a Pike.
I don't know. I was just.
Oh, you
I'll see if I can find that information.
Pike, something like that. Come on.
You know all the Bennetts have been Stetson the Third, Stetson Jr. They all been a legacy cruiser.
And I know we're Katy Perry fans here too. But what the hell was that at halftime?
Well, some
weird.
of it was saucy, and some of it I didn't understand. But that's my age, 59. You don't.
No, look.
You know
Brett,
what the first signs of getting old is when you go, what are they saying?
Brett, I'm
that
still
song?
in my 20s. I didn't understand what was going on.
I didn't understand a lot of it.
And her outfit was interesting. Her outfit of choice.
It's
always interesting.
But I like
with
her agent. He's a good fella. But I didn't get all that either. But you know what, Gabe? I don't think I was the demographic for the halftime show.
I don't know who was though. Is my question.
That's a good question.
I don't really. It was a 3-minute song and dance deal where they were at what was that?
A old best friend of mine texted me. He said, "So this is why she couldn't come to Oxford because she was working on that."
It was like I don't know. It was an outdoor industrial place. And she was singing a not very good song, and it was.
But the first time I heard California Girls, it did knock me over, but.
Oh, it knocked me over. What are you talking about?
Did it?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
The very first time.
What about Firework?
I love Firework. First time, of course, the first time I heard it was in 2014 in Oxford.
But
really? That's the first time you heard it?
Yeah. I didn't know who she was.
Yeah.
Which makes us even because she doesn't know who I am.
Yeah. It looked like a 90s music video, but it had Katy Perry.
Very techno pop.
Yeah, it was a little weird to me.
I thought I was at a Dallas nightclub circa 1982. I really did, at the Southwest Conference basketball tournament.
What's the difference between a Dallas nightclub and a normal nightclub in 1982?
Well, it was the only big town I could think of that I was in 1982. Gabe Kuhn said it when we started this show. Our title sponsor this hour, it's Lexus of Memphis, and we're so proud to have them, and we appreciate them so very much. Give them a call at 901-362-8833. They are at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2022 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus Comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2022 flagship LS500 and start your year looking and driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
It's the national championship. In Georgia, winning after a 41-year drought. Stetson Bennett, the fourth, is a national championship winning quarterback.
Every composite at the Fidel House in Athens has got a Bennett on it.
Fidel, Pike, SAE. He's a rush chairman of all of them. I'm amazed that we are here, because you think about where we've gone in college football, especially how offensive based we are, how much we've changed. Alabama has had to change.
I'm going to send you a 1982 composite picture of me while we're talking about people on frat composites. You're going to blow your mind.
Please, I need that.
It's going to blow your mind.
But I think about where we're at in college football and how offensive based we are. Nick Saban has changed his style. Georgia put it to the test this year, and they won it all. Being a defensive-oriented team with a steady quarterback who's not going to wow anybody, who's not going to make any crazy plays, although he made a couple of good throws last night down the field. But they won it all with Stetson Bennett IV at quarterback and a good defense. I mean, shout out to Georgia. I thought it was well done last night. I do think there are some things about Alabama. I don't like excuses, Brett, but there are excuses to be made from the Alabama side. I don't think they'll make them. Nick Saban's not an excuse guy all the time, but no Jameson Williams, no John Mechie, and they were missing some guys offensively that just sort of killed them, I think, down the stretch of last night's game. Bill O'Brien, their OC, I don't know if I think it'll be a one and done there at Alabama. I don't think he called great plays last year.
Everybody calls him Bob for Bill O'Brien, B-O-B. I call him Dud, D-U-D.
Well, I was watching, it's interesting that you bring this up. I was watching Man in the Arena with Tom Brady. They call him Billy.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they call him Billy. They give him the Y.
Did you get my text? You do not put that on social media.
Oh, that's going straight on social
media.
No.
That's in the proviso. That doesn't go on social media.
No, but
what's the one-word description of that?
Dapper.
Young.
Dapper is a good word for that.
I'll call that dapper.
Hairline.
My gosh, look at that. Are you a bow tie guy, Brett?
Well, it was for the picture.
Everyone had to
wear
a bow
a
tie, huh?
Yeah.
And who are you?
SA. And if you'll notice, see the tuxedo stud that's at the top?
Yeah.
Dummy me, that's the one for the shirt. I put it in at the top for the top big rube that I was. I didn't know what studs you put in where. See how big it is?
You kind of resemble Stetson Bennett. You kind of look
a little
like
bit.
Him. I see it.
Yeah.
I see it, Brett.
I was young once, Gabe.
I hear you.
Is this my time?
I've kind of lost track. Ahead.
My top story, national champs all together now for the first time since 1980. The Georgia Bulldogs with Stetson Bennett looking like he should be pulled into hero, and now a great next 40 years for Stetson Bennett. All he has to do is tell national championship stories, take pictures, and sign autographs. But that Georgia defense indeed hunkered down, and they stopped the Alabama run game. They couldn't get going, couldn't do anything. And Bryce Young, he looked bad. Nobody's ever had a 300-yard passing game and look worse than he did last night. But I'm calling it. These two together in the football four next year with Ohio State, and 2 years in a row, from everybody saying they would never do it to we do it 2 years in a row, the Houston Cougars. That's my way too early college football four for next year.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. Woo! That is a flaming. Let's get to not top story. My gosh.
Not top story of the day.
Houston Cougars.
Yep.
I might have to change my not top story of the day, Brett. But something else I didn't mention in my dialogue is Georgia finally got after Bryce Young, and that was the difference in the game, in my opinion. Bryce Young was just very uncomfortable the entire time. My not top story of the day was one. My God, Houston. Houston? Brett, Houston. You're calling your shot on Houston.
Houston Cougars.
Oh, my gosh. My real not top story of the day, Novak Djokovic. Trying to play in the Australian Open. He's unvaccinated. I don't agree with that, but it is what it is. He has his right to do that. From Serbia. Traveled there. got put into holding because they canceled his visa. He appealed it, got his visa reinstated. Now, talking about the number one player in the world, on the verge of his 21st Grand Slam title, has won 9 Australian Opens. That's the record. Now he's being investigated over false travel claims by the Australian Border Control. Brett, they're just trying to find things on him to throw him. They're trying to throw him out of the country, and I don't know if they have much ground to stand on. They're saying that he traveled on Christmas to Belgrade, which is in Serbia, his home country.
Yeah.
Belgrade is in Serbia.
If you don't want him in the country, just toss him. Let the man go home.
Just let the... Send him home if you're going to send him home. If you're going to make an example out of him,
they're talking about a 4-year penalty for him and not an Australian Open for the next 4 years.
Brett, here's the truth of the matter, though. Novak Djokovic, it seems like he's got a lot of ground to stand on in these fights. He had an exemption,
but does
before
he
went there.
I mean, what would get you banned on Twitter a year ago? Now everybody's saying
it's just it's unbelievable to see how much this has caused the stir up in Australia. There's been.
Did you see the Johns Hopkins report? That of the 800,000 deaths, they now think at least half may have been with COVID and not from COVID. Mm-hmm. That's quite a distinction.
And
Johns Hopkins, not your red hat MAGA Flat Earth Society bunch.
That's always been the case, and I think there's some avoidable situations with people that have health issues. You should be in the house. You should be careful.
As many as 4 comorbidities, according to Rochelle Walensky yesterday in front of Congress.
But there are some issues
that people are dying with.
There are some issues with how we're spreading it and the rate we're spreading it. There's no question about it. But this Novak Djokovic story is the fact that it's taken on this life of its own. It's about a country, and this country also at this point riots, people picketing in the street over Novak Djokovic possibly being able to participate in the Australian Open, which he got a vaccine exemption for.
Would you fight over Novak Djokovic?
No, but
I would not either.
But the fact that we have Novak Djokovic, and by all accounts, not an overly nice guy, not an overly
pretty much an ogre.
Yeah, kind of a weird, quirky dude, to say the least. The fact that he's become the sympathetic figure, as you mentioned the other day, is unbelievable to me.
Unbelievable. Doesn't Chris Fowler usually leave from the college football national championship game and do most of the work for ESPN there? I wonder if he's going.
Not positive.
I wonder if he's going. My not top story: biggest home game since. Regular season since when? It's the biggest regular season game for sure. Probably the biggest home game since last year's playoffs for the Memphis Grizzlies. Real shot now for the 2 seed, maybe even the 1 seed. Must win these kind of games tonight. It will be hopping. Can't wait to get to FedEx Forum, and we see next gen growing up before our very eyes.
You're talking about next gen, and I'm seeing you previously just sent me another picture of you have a Diesel Budweiser shirt on. How about that? And a double fisted.
Yep.
Gotta love. We can't share these just one time.
No.
Just one time. At some point.
No.
Not so. Okay. Right.
On December 31st, 2027, you can.
Deal.
Deal. I'll remember. That'll do it for our top and our not top story of the day. Our rundown is as follows. On the other side, we're going to have Rob Fisher from Bally Sports on the Grizzlies. 4 o'clock, Brent Beard on college football. 4:30, we bring on Dave Woloshin, voice of the Tigers, to talk some Tigers. 5 o'clock, Bo Marchant. NFL Week 18 is in the books. We have NFL Wild Card Weekend set up. We'll talk to him about that. 5:45, we get out with Taco Bell Crunch Time. AutoZone listener line, we want to hear from you all day. 901-360-8255. Get in the zone, AutoZone. You can also watch us live and message us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and at sports56whbq.com. On the other side, we bring on our good friend from Bally Sports, Rob Fisher.
Peter Edmiston and Anthony Sane bring you Sports 56 Grind Time. Brought to you by Poultry Power. Weekdays from 1 to 3 on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Wildcard weekend just got wilder. FanDuel Sportsbook is hooking new customers up with 30-1 enhanced odds. That means you can bet $5 to win $150 on any team to win any wildcard game. Just sign up for FanDuel Sportsbook and make a deposit to claim your 30-1 enhanced odds. Already have FanDuel Sportsbook? FanDuel is hooking all customers up with $50 when you refer a friend. Plus, your friend will get $50 too. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app using promo code BIGHEAD and pick your wild card team before kickoff. Must be 21 and older and present in Tennessee. New users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. Max bonus $150. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789.
Welcome back to the quickest podcast ever, brought to you by Kohl's.
Today's topic, exercise.
You know, the right gear makes all the difference.
Sure does, which is why I went to Kohl's and got an Adidas hoodie for my husband and some Under Armour gear for myself.
Is shopping your cardio?
More like my motivation. I also picked up some Nike sneakers for my son.
Oh, family workouts.
That's the goal. Select styles. Coupons do not apply. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Barks now offers you just about everything you need for your furry family member. Daycare, luxury boarding, award-winning grooming, veterinary checkups, diagnostic services including digital x-ray, fluoroscopy and ultrasound, complete dental service, vaccinations, preventative care for fleas, ticks, and heartworms, and just about any needed surgical treatment. And did I mention that we treat cats and all types of exotic pets? We are the newest member of the Barks family and the newest, most high-tech veterinary hospital in the Mid-South. Located directly across the street from Barks and Recreation, we are a full-service hospital with a fantastic, experienced staff. If you're having problems getting a timely appointment at your current vet's facility, we are here to serve you. Call us at 901-979-8888. Barks and Medication. Excellence in veterinary care.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Back rolling on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats. Autos on Listen Line 901-360-8255. Text in questions, comments, concerns. You can also watch us live and message us on our socials, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and at Sports56WHBQ.com. We bring on our good friend from Bally Sports, does Grizzlies sidelines, pre- and post-game host. He's Rob Fisher at The Fish Nation on Twitter. Rob, what's happening?
Not much, fellas. How you doing?
Rob, doing great.
Well.
Doing great. Seriously, these days got to be as much fun as any stretch covering the Grizzlies, being a part of the Grizzlies. I think you're now in your 15th year. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But tell me, on game day, do you prepare in case you have to do it all like you've been doing?
Right.
Like tonight, are you ready if Pete's a last-second scratch, if Brevin's a last-second? Whomever could be, because I know you're one of the most prepared humans ever. Do you go down there A to Z ready?
I'm ready if I got to coach the team tonight.
By golly.
Maybe be the mascot tonight. I don't know. Who knows what's in store?
Oh, if you ever wore Grizzly suit, please cut me in on it. Let me know.
Oh, you know you'd be the first one to know for sure.
Any 10-day contracts for media personnel?
Not that I'm aware of.
Don't kid yourself. We all have a one-day contract, don't we, Rob?
Yeah, no kidding. It's been crazy. Hopefully we're past it now, and hopefully the team's past it. Get Taylor Jenkins back hopefully soon, and Steven Adams might be back as early as tonight. So that would be good. And as far as the broadcast unit is concerned, there's about 14, 15 of us that travel. And right now, me and B-Dub, Brian Wright, who does graphics for us in the truck, we're the only two survivors that haven't gotten hit with it. So
you're Kiefer Sutherland. You're the lone survivor. You keep the continuity of Grizzlies going, huh?
I know. Then, of course, people start blaming me for infecting everybody. You know, like I got a little vial, like Kiefer Sutherland would, and just pinning everybody as I walk by them. But no, it's been crazy, you know, and it's just like the team. We've kind of been next man up, and lucky enough, I've had some experience doing a lot of different things. So they were, you know, they trusted me to do those things and to fill in, and you know, doing play-by-play was a dream come true for me. So it was fun. It was a fun 10 days. You know, I never take for granted my job, and I always tell people, you know, there are just 30 of them out there, and I'm lucky enough to be one of them. And in a 4-game stretch, I did 4 different jobs where there are only 30 of them. So
Unreal.
It was quite the ride, and I can't imagine many people have done that in their career, been able to do 4 different jobs in 4 different games.
And one of our favorite Grizzlies ever, one of mine and your favorite Grizzlies ever, and now having a renaissance, you truly were born ready.
That's right. Born ready, just like Lance, and very similar in the way we celebrate as well. You know, when I was told I was doing the game, I did a little born ready dance. So yeah, it's Lance and I are very similar in that way.
Talking with Rob Fisher at The Fish Nation on Twitter. Now, they've had to deal with COVID. They've had to deal with some injuries. The latest injury to Dylan Brooks, he's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks with this ankle sprain. They have really given us, I know you would think lulls would happen with a guy like that out, but they've given us no reason to believe that lulls will happen. They have been ridiculously resilient.
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, you're at the point now where you feel like they're never going to lose. And when they do, it's going to be disappointing because they have played so well. But it's been incredible, 1 through 15 on the roster. I mean, heck, 1 through 20, the way things have been going here recently. Each guy that has stepped in, whether it's Zaire Williams, Killian Tilly, Jarrett Culver, John Conchar, and then Conchar goes out, then it's Kyle Anderson, then Kyle Anderson's out, and it's Killian Tilly. I mean, it's just been one guy after another, and I think you got to give a lot of credit to the coaching staff for having these guys ready, both mentally and physically, and be able to come in and execute the game plan in the way that they're doing right now. It's been quite remarkable, and it goes back to when Ja Morant got injured, and, you know, before guys were going down with testing positive, you know, Ja went down that Friday night against Atlanta, and certainly we all feared the worst. And then the news came down that he was going to be out 3 to 5 weeks, and it was like, okay, let's just now survive these 3 to 5 weeks. And Taylor Jenkins' message to the team has just resonated with me since. He said, don't do more, just do what you do better. And I think every guy on this team has done that. You know, no one's trying to play outside the box. No one's trying to do something they can't do. No one's trying to fill a void. Everyone's just doing what they do, and they're doing it better. And that's from Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bain down to John Conchar and Killian Tilly. I mean, everybody has stepped up and done their job and done it better. And it's been incredible to watch.
And Rob, I obviously you get to be around these guys and up close interviewing these guys, and I guess I'll just put it this way: how much do they like each other? It seems like a whole lot.
A lot. I mean, and this has been something Jaren Jackson said it the other night. It's been growing for a long time. You know, when they came in, it was guys that liked each other. They have big personalities, and no one's jealous of each other. Everyone relishes off the other's success. And, I mean, you can see that with this team. When Asante Aldama will throw down a dunk, I mean, the team's just as excited as they are when Ja Morant will climb above the backboard to pull down a block. I mean, they generally like each other off the court, on the court. They play together. Now, winning certainly is an amazing drug. I mean, that can make you like anybody. You know, you can like anybody when you're going through a 9-game win streak. But this team generally they do really like each other. And, you know, a lot of them are around the same age. Most of them are around the same age. So they're just I don't want to sound like an old man now, but I am. They're just a bunch of kids who enjoy playing together. And you can tell that on the floor. You can tell that in practice. You can tell that in the games. And again, I think a lot of it goes back to the head coach too. You know, he built a culture here, and he built it very quickly, that it was family oriented. From the moment he stepped foot into the building as the head coach of the Grizzlies, He wanted to make it family-like, where there's communication going both ways, where there's trust going both ways. And you get that. You get that on the floor. You get that during huddles from Taylor Jenkins. His willingness to listen to the players' willingness to listen to him. You don't get that with all coaches, but you have it with the Grizzlies.
You know, Rob, you've always, and you don't have to, you hadn't done it for that reason, but you've always defended Robert Perrin. Anything the Grizzlies need, whether it's workout or locker room redo or the ugly sauna fire that I was the hero of and he replaced everything. I mean, he always provides the money. Yeah, I would like to see him around more. I think if he would let us love him, he would really appreciate it and become engulfed by it. But never mind that. He's providing everything you want, and then that front office, then to Taylor Jenkins and his staff that you mentioned, and then quite literally to the announce team. It is a organization pulling in the same direction, and we haven't always had that.
No, you haven't. But I think, Tyus Jones talked about it the other night, and I think anyone who works for the Grizzlies felt the same way. It's one for all and all for one. I mean, there's not a person who works in the organization who's not about the team, who's not about the success of the team and being entertaining and making Memphis proud of the team, whether that's the game night crew or the ticket sellers or, the sales executives, the broadcasters, the players. I mean, it's a small market team. And I think that's, one of the things that you have when you have a small market team. It's about everyone wanting to pull together for one ultimate goal. And I think that's what you get with the Memphis Grizzlies. There aren't egos. There's not jealousy. It's about the team and the team first. And I think from the bottom on to the top, that's the feeling around there. That's the feeling you get when you walk into the building. I mean, it's a great feeling to walk into the office on every game day and even not on game days, to walk in there and just have that friendly, hey, we're in this together. I might not know your name, but I know we're on the same team. And it's that feeling around the Grizzlies building all the time.
Now, Grizzlies sit at 28-14, and a guy coming into the season that we wanted to see take a step, Jaren Jackson Jr. What have you thought of his season so far?
Well, he got off to a slow start, and Brevin Knight and I talked a lot about it on our podcast, and we talked a lot about it on the television as well. Jaren hadn't played a lot of basketball in the last 2 years, and so Brevin kept saying the same thing over and over again. Give it 20 games. Give it 20 games. And let's see where he's at after 20 games. And let me tell you something. At 20 games, he took off. Mm-hmm. Not to say that Brevin was Nostradamus, but I think you just needed to give it time for him to get his basketball legs going, because he didn't really have that for a long time and didn't play a lot of basketball over a 2-year stretch. Well, I think we're starting to see now what he's capable of doing. I mean, he is a unicorn. And although offensively is what we always look at with Jaren Jackson and with a lot of guys, we look at what they do offensively. What Jaren has done defensively, he's taken leaps and bounds. And he's becoming the great two-way player that we know he can become. And I think we've seen it this week. When Ja went down with the injury, Jaren stepped up big time. Yep. Steven Adams goes down. Jaren steps up big time. I mean, Jaren is so capable of doing it. He's so athletic. He's so long that defensively, he stays out of foul trouble, which he's done recently. Mm-hmm. He stays out of foul trouble. He can be dominant on that end of the floor. And then we know what he can do offensively. I mean, he's so gifted at that size that he's almost an impossible matchup. Brad Jones said it after the Clippers game. He bullied them. He did. And then he did the same thing to the Lakers the next night. Mm-hmm. So I think we're seeing nightly basis now what he's capable of doing. And I think the great thing is, even when he's not having a great shooting night, he's still bringing it defensively and making a huge impact on the game.
Rob, one of the many, many things that made you such a great addition to this market now 21 years ago is you immediately immerse yourself in wanting to know and be a part of and go to and cover the SEC. I think I know you pretty well, and you know me pretty well, and you know I was the hero of the sauna fire. But I think your SEC team, after you hit these parts, has been Georgia. What was it like last night watching the Georgia Bulldogs finally win it?
Shocking, surprise. I mean, just to see Alabama knocked off. I mean, for me, I picked and I bet Georgia in the SEC championship, and I thought, what an idiot. What am I doing? How can I go against Nick Saban's team's getting points, and I went against them for like the first time ever. And I thought, what an idiot. And I was so angry with myself. So last night my decision was, I'm betting Alabama, but go Dogs. And so I lost the bet last night, but you know what? It was awesome. And just to see their defense play the way that they did last night, to see the Georgia fans and all their glory and celebrate and rightfully so celebrate, what's been a long time coming for them, for Kirby to get that win and to win at his alma mater. For Stetson Bennett, I mean, what an unbelievable story that is. I mean, I know some Georgia Bulldogs fans who still, even last night during the game, wanted him out of the game and wanted to see JT Daniels. And I'm like, seriously? We can't do this now. And then he comes up with two huge throws at the end. It was remarkable. I was literally sitting there, not screaming, not overjoyed, just kind of shocked and still I was kind of in coach mode. I wasn't going to be happy until that game was over.
Did you have your DJ Shockley jersey on?
I did have the DJ Shockley jersey on, yes.
Did you send a picture to B-Dub and rub it in?
No, I decided to leave them alone last night, which I thought was a good move. But it was cool, and I reached out to some of my Georgia friends, and my buddy who kind of introduced me to Georgia Bulldogs football and kind of introduced me to being a dog people. I texted him last night and said thanks for introducing me to the Dog
That's
Nation.
Good stuff.
And he said, hey, we put our britches on like everybody else.
Have you talked to Brother Bob Walcott today? Is he upright? Is he able to function?
Oh, I can't imagine he is. I have not, but thank you for reminding me. I certainly need to reach out to Bob after that last night. I'm sure he's on cloud nine.
Speaking of which, we need to check on Stetson Bennett. I mean, he's probably taking a good nap after what I saw in
Medium
Good Morning.
blood alcohol in the
tubes.
tubes.
I'd say Good Morning America. I mean, he's got to be out of commission. My gosh.
I would think so.
But why not?
Wouldn't you be?
Oh, yeah. Of course. There's no question about it. Rob, appreciate it, though, man. Thanks for joining us.
See you tonight at the building. Thank you, Rob.
You got it. Always a pleasure, guys. Go Grizz.
You got it, Rob. Good stuff.
You can follow Rob at TheFishNation on Twitter. Okay, so, Brett, I know you've told me the Sauna Fire story before.
I was a hero.
You saved the Grizz girls. I know that, right?
Save women and children, yeah.
They go
Brett.
Yeah. Look at you.
Did you hoist them out over your shoulder, two at a time?
I carried my laptop out.
How did the Sauna Fire start? You brought it up twice. That's the only thing I don't know.
When Rob and I were together in the afternoons, a lot of times on Grizzlies game days, both the Grizzlies and WHBQ kind enough to let us do it from down there in the media room, so Rob could quickly do the turnover and jump into post game. And FedEx Forum through the years has had an inordinate amount of false fire alarms. Mm-hmm. This particular day, though, and usually, especially doing what we're doing, not that we're that important, the security guard would come by and go, don't worry about it, keep doing what you're doing, even when bells and whistles are going off. This particular day, and you could smell the odor of like an electrical fire, police officer, MPD came by and said, get your stuff and get out now. Right. And go. And down the hall, I won't say engulfed in smoke, but it was some smoke, and you
can
knew
say
it would,
engulfed.
Okay, maybe so, but I mean it was there, and when you get there as early as we used to get there on game day, the Grizz girls get there for their practice routines and stuff, and I saw a lot of them coming by earlier that day, so they were going out at that time, and I said, Grizz girls first, whatever you do, save the Grizz girls. So Rob and I, we go outside, we did most of the 4 o'clock hour on our cell phones while Memphis Fire was inside the building.
We had a famous Sauna Fire at Billy J. Murphy Complex too when I was in college.
Hall of Famer.
Leave it to football players to pour Gatorade onto the sauna rocks.
Doesn't work.
Yeah. There's sugar in Gatorade, so you know that it burns. Yeah, and then it starts fire and lets smoke out. So
did fire alarms go off?
Yes, they sure did. We had to leave. We had to walk out. We were getting ready for workouts.
I'm so happy for Coach Murphy's family. I am so happy.
No question.
And his friendship through the years with John Vaught, his friendship through the years with Paul Bryant and the SEC people, I mean, the Tiger football program from Billy Murphy on has always been at the top level of college football. It's never been FCS, never been Division I AA. He wouldn't stand for that. And he wanted to play the big boys.
Yeah, and a long time coming. Something that I think a lot of people have been waiting for Spook to get in. And he finally did yesterday. We sort of moved past it quickly yesterday. Did mention at the end of the first segment, but didn't spend too much time on it.
I think Coach Murphy, I don't know what branch of the military, but very decorated in World War II, and in that service was really tight with a legendary Ole Miss figure named Wobble Davidson. And, they came home, I think the Marines, straight from the Marines and liberating Iwo Jima to the college football fields. How would you like to have been playing for those guys?
No question. Now, we're going to continue this Grizzlies conversation when we come back because they had started a 4-game homestand tonight against the Warriors. And also the Warriors made a little trip to Memphis East last night. We'll discuss that when we come back on the other side right here on Sports 56 98.5.
Be sure to follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes from Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Tired of waiting on your sportsbook? Waiting for deposits and withdrawals? No more waiting with Action 24/7. We're cutting out the middleman. Deposit or withdrawal in cash. Action 24/7 has more than 100 partners in Tennessee for cash deposits and withdrawals. Visit action247.com for a location. Cash deposits and withdrawals from your Tennessee sportsbook. Action247.com. You got action.
Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee. For problem gambling support, call 800-889-9789.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
Some things should just be left to the experts. Sure, you might be able to scramble an egg or make a piece of toast, but do you really think you can throw together a better breakfast than Sunrise on Jefferson? The cooks at Sunrise are the breakfast experts, making perfect breakfast after perfect breakfast, with the freshest ingredients, cooked with care and cooked with speed. There's simply no better breakfast in Memphis. Go ahead, make some instant grits if you want to, but if you want real breakfast, you want Sunrise.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Grizzlies tonight versus the Warriors, the start of a 4-game homestand that will conclude against the Bulls on Monday night, and the Grizzlies put their 9-game win streak to the test. But honestly, I think even bigger than the game tonight, and it is a big game. This is the top of the Western Conference playing each other. But even bigger than tonight, James Wiseman night was last night. Jersey retirement at Memphis East, and everybody was really on hand. The whole Memphis basketball program. There's Alex Lomax was there. Tyler Harris was there. A lot of those guys were there. And also,
Lomax played with him at East, right? Tyler did not.
Tyler did not,
right.
No. Tyler was Cordova, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But Steph Curry was on hand. Andrew Wiggins, Kevon Looney, and there was more. And
you show up at East last night and you had a highlight reel.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And James Wiseman, I don't know how people feel about, him in Memphis these days with how it ended at Memphis basketball.
And it's still not over. We got to get that final verdict from IARP.
It's still not over, but I thought that was cool. I thought that was really cool last night to see all those guys on hand and just sort of mingling and mixing right there in the stands with the rest of the people on hand to watch Memphis East play basketball.
Well, let's say IARP does not go particularly foul, nasty. It's much ado about nothing.
Mm-hmm.
How will he be remembered?
I mean, he played
3 games.
3 games.
I saw one of them.
Yeah,
one was on the road.
He played 3 games, but he was in Memphis beforehand. He is originally from Nashville. I don't know how he'll be remembered. That would be I honestly,
if it went extremely nasty, how's he remembered?
But, Brett, I think there's already some nastiness.
Yeah.
Surrounding that situation.
There's some residual.
I think there's no question. There are some fans out there that feel a certain way about James Wiseman and how he was recruited here and everything else, and what it left on the program, but. I will never share those feelings with those people ever.
I hold no contempt for him. None.
And he wanted to make it work out. It didn't work out. And
I saw him against South Carolina State, and the next morning my brother asked me, he said, "How good?" I said, I think it's going to be like going to see Keith Lee play. Never saw him play another minute.
I have a problem with holding a guy who was 17, 18 at that time accountable for the decisions that were made in his recruiting process. I don't think he needs to be held accountable for that. Now, the grown-ups in the situation, yes, go ahead and hold them accountable. Penny, his mom, whoever you have to hold accountable, do that. But also, I think there needs to be some empathy involved with the situation.
And when the NCAA rules him an ineligible player, you can't play him. And they did.
Now, James Wiseman in the present, Brett, what is going to happen with James Wiseman in the present? I don't see when he comes back, when he gets off of his injury rehab, I don't see him cracking the Kevon Looney minutes. They like Kevon Looney, especially with Klay Thompson back in the lineup.
Well, they must think something of him, or Steph Curry on a Monday night doesn't go to a high school gym.
Right, and I think that's part of just being a team and being together, and that's what they're trying to show, and they're trying to show they have love for him.
But is this the longest on the DL for a meniscus in recorded history?
He's been on yes, and I bet he's had some setbacks. There's no question about it. He's had a couple setbacks at this point. Meniscus is usually not all that intrusive. If you get surgery for it, it's not all that bad, and the rehab's not crazy. It's not ACL, MCL rehab. It is meniscus. It's different, but I thought that it was a good fit when he got drafted.
Oh, I thought perfect
to the Warriors.
I thought Moses Moody perfect too.
But now, looking at how it's played out with the injuries and his usage in year one, his rookie year, I'm scared it won't work out there. Now, could it work out somewhere else? Could they use him as a trade piece and get him to a better situation for himself? Yes, but I just don't know with what the Warriors are. They're a wing-oriented, guard-oriented team. I wonder if James Wiseman will ever fit in the right way there.
Yeah, and tonight the show is Steph, Klay, and Draymond. Mm-hmm. That's the show.
Well, Draymond's out.
Draymond is out.
He's officially going to sit tonight. And did you see the other night he came out just because Klay was coming back? Sportsbooks took L's on that. I don't know the exact millions of dollars is last I checked, but they took some serious losses because of people taking unders and same game parlays and everything else. Yeah, they gave it to him.
Well, they voided mine. I had him over something, and they voided it, so I just assumed they avoided everybody.
Well, he played 3 seconds, got
That's
the
not
foul.
fair, though. They should have avoided everybody, so
3
that's not fair.
seconds. Well, are you trying to take away winnings from people, Brian?
I sure am. That's ridiculous.
Come on.
It was literally said before the game that he was only playing
I
for
like
ceremony.
it when the man gets gotten to, though, Bryant.
That is true.
Yeah, I was just saying,
that is true, but it's ridiculous.
I like the man weakened.
You wanted to win.
I did want to win. If he had played the whole game, I would have won.
I want you to win too.
I'm fine. I still won because it was voided and I won everything else.
I mean, if I need a little get me through next couple of days loan, I think Bryant would extend it to me for some of those anonymous randos out there that got their cash.
Don't be the sorry loser guy that can't see anyone else win.
I'm telling you, I still won, so I'm fine with it. I'm just saying.
None of that negative energy.
I'm just saying, if If I had waited 5 minutes before the game started, instead of, putting my bets in an hour before the game started, and I had known he's only going out there just ceremonially, I would have put everything under, and then I would have won money.
Wait, what did you
ridiculous.
You bet an over on what, real quick?
It was like rebounds or something.
Okay, rebounds, that's fair. If you did over on points for Draymond Green, you got another thing coming.
Summertime radio show this summer. We're going to do it. One Friday in June. Worst sports beats you've ever had.
I've got a handful.
I have one right off the top.
Easy.
I have one right off the top.
Hugh Durham
right
getting 4
now,
technicals with 1 second left to start one night.
Florida State Clemson this year.
Oh,
that's brutal.
That was bad.
That's
brutal.
brutal.
Yep. I'm probably right there with you.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that.
Jeff Malone went to the line calmly, sank 7 out of 8. His time expired. I said, would somebody get Hugh Durham out of the building? I mean, bound and gag him. Do something. Get him out of there.
That'll do it for hour number 1. Hey, if you want to send in some bad beats,
I'd
send
love
them to
it.
901-360-8255. We'd love to hear them. When we come back for hour number 2, we're going to be loaded. Brent Beard at 4 o'clock on the other side. Dave Woloshin, voice of the Tigers, at 4:30. You listen to Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I'm Brian Elder, 867-0303. Hurricane season is upon us. Is your roof ready? Are your shingles laying down and sealed properly? Call me right now, 867-0303. They say you get what you pay for. That's why my opinion is free. Maybe you've got years of life left in your roof. If so, I'll tell you that. But if I find storm damage or a compromised roof system, I'll lay out some options for you. Don't let them tell you it needs to be replaced if it only needs a repair. Call me, 867-0303. Has your insurance company already seen it and rejected your claim? Maybe they're correct. Most of the time, they're not. They do tend to become more reasonable once I get involved, though. 867-0303. I'll measure your roof from outer space or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I'm with John Burgos in the alley at the world-famous Rendezvous. John, it's so good to see you. How are things at the restaurant?
Brett, things in the restaurant are fine, but like all restaurateurs will tell you, things are still not back to normal. Supply chains are interrupted. One week we can't find charcoal. Another week we're short on ribs. Another week they can't find the plastic bottles to fill our sauce jars with. I've watched in awe as our fellow Memphis restaurateurs have worked their way through these past months.
John, always new and exciting things at the Rendezvous.
People know we have Greek salad, vegetarian red beans and rice, and vegetarian nachos. But now we have desserts. Miss Barbara of O Taste and See has individually wrapped some wonderful desserts. We have key lime pie, chess pie, chocolate chess pie, and pecan pie. Not pecan pie, pecan pie. We also have a new twist at the Rendezvous. We now have outdoor dining. It's in the side alley along the Rendezvous, not the one in the front. And depending on the weather and depending on staffing, please call ahead to make sure we're open. And we hope it becomes a mainstay here at the Rendezvous.
Mr. Charlie Burgos' world-famous Rendezvous in the alley in downtown Memphis.
Nothing says Happy New Year like getting the SUV, car, or truck you want to drive into 2022. Everything you want is here at the new Auto Universe Germantown. Have you heard about this? Nothing but the best. The finest vehicles you'll see in one place anywhere. Make it to the lot and showroom on Winchester just off 385. Auto Universe is a lot full of luxury automobiles like Lexus, Infiniti, Audi, Jeep, Mercedes, Nissan, Honda, Chevy, Toyota, and get this, no haggle pricing. If you're looking for a slightly driven, previously loved pre-owned vehicle, you got to see these at Auto Universe Germantown, and they tell me they're adding more by the hour. Or go to eautouniverse.com. Happy New Year from their family to yours. The only dealership you'll ever need. Unbelievable selection, simplified financing, top service technicians, even collision repair. Everything you want in one place. It's at 7300 Winchester, just off 385. Only the best make it here to Auto Universe Germantown. That's eautouniverse.com.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Hour 2 is here of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats. Brian Dacus, of course, producing the program. AutoZone listener line, 901-360-8255. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Also, watch us live and message us on our socials, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and at our lovely website, sports56whbq.com. You can find our featured audio and our podcast at sports56whbq.com. We put a wrap on the college football season last night. Georgia gets the win over Alabama. Kirby Smart gets the monkey off his back. They win 33-18. And to talk about that and more college football, we bring on our good friend, Brent Beard, at Brent Beard on Twitter. Brent, what's happening?
Well, greetings, guys. I'm saying that the season is over. I'm grateful that we got it in and had very little, frankly, either cancellations or things we had to reschedule. So quite grateful for all that.
Very much. And last night, the numbers are rolling in. College football playoff title game averaged 22.6 million viewers.
That'll do.
Across the ESPN platforms, up from last year's record low of 18.7, second lowest since CFP started in 2015.
Well, when you, I think a couple things with that. I mean, when you've got a 1-point game deep in the fourth quarter, that certainly is going to help your ratings. I still would like to know what these ratings would be if they move this game to Saturday afternoon or Saturday night.
College football day, Saturday.
Guys, look, this old adage of we just got to have it on Monday night because ratings are better. If you're trying to promote your sport and you're trying to get excitement, particularly with young kids, I mean, guys, halftime is over at 10 Eastern time, so a lot of, I mean, certainly the kids are in the bed who you want to see the game. A lot of the folks got to go to work the next day. I'm hoping the powers that be may realize that mistake at some point.
And Brett, those numbers you just brought up, that puts to bed all the semifinal record low talk. I mean, we obsess over ratings far too much, especially when it comes to football. It doesn't matter. When that contract comes back around, it'll be
Billions.
more money. It'll be more viewers. It never really matters all that much.
No, it really doesn't. And look, college football sells itself, and it always will. But I think overall, folks got a better ending than they probably thought they might. So I think they've got to be happy along that line. And again, if we can ever get these folks to light a fire under themselves and get the extended playoff going, then something will only add to it.
Brent, I'm pretty sure we have. I know we have. We've been giving all due credit to Georgia. The defensive effort, Stetson Bennett in the fourth quarter, it stepped up. Kirby got his, and that's what he was hired to do. But he wasn't hired to just do one. I don't want to put too much pressure on him for next year, but whenever he's at the end at Georgia, they want more than one, don't they?
Well, any school in the SEC wants more than one, and they want one more. They want one very quickly. Also, I don't see how look. They've got talent there, like Alabama does. Both those schools are the only schools in the nation to have top 6 recruiting classes over the last 5 years. So there's talent there. But again, I don't know if you're Kirby how you lose a generational defense the way that they're going to, and you can automatically come back from there. Now, can they win the East? Certainly. They're still the best team in the East. Regardless, how much further they go from there will be determined how quickly that they can retool that defensive side of the ball.
And Brent, this is a question I sort of had a tough time answering, and I thought of it last night when I saw Georgia win this game with Stetson Bennett at quarterback. Do you think it sort of proves that defensive-oriented teams can still win it all, or do you think that the top of the sport was just a little weaker this year?
No, I think we're beginning to see more of the fact that defense matters. Now, we've still got a lot of what I would call 7-on-7 football, and that's what Alabama has swung over to. And that's just where we are. But I do think that we're seeing somewhat of a resurgence of defense. Now, are we going to go back to 9 to 6 games? No, that's not going to happen. But everything in football is a cycle. And the importance of defense now, guys, is not determined by yards. It's determined by who can get off the field quicker on third down and red zone defense. So it's still important, but the reality is just that the priorities for defense have just changed.
Brent, my head's wanted to explode through the years of the Alabama dynasty of people saying it's Alabama and the 13 dwarfs in the SEC. It's categorically incorrect. And now from 1998, Tennessee, T. Martin, Philip Fulmer getting their title in 98 through last night, 6 different SEC national champions, 3 from the East, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, 3 from the West, Alabama, Auburn, and LSU. Now Alabama is they are the bell cow. They are the one by which the rest of the entire sport is judged. But just to say it was just one team doing it, it's people that either have reading comprehension trouble or they like to lie.
Or they're just lazy.
Yeah.
I think it's more of it, Brett, than anything else. I mean, look, you've seen so many different teams over the last 10 to 20 years, Florida, LSU.
Florida under 2 different coaches.
Yes.
LSU
absolutely.
under 3 different coaches.
Oh, yeah. You've had Auburn in 2010. I mean, look, that's the strength of this league is because you never know where it's going to go and who can win a title. I do think Billy Napier with Florida, this is where we mentioned them. I think they're going to be back quicker than people realize. Kirby's always going to be there. You've got a legitimate threat with Jimbo now at A&M if they can ever quit losing less than 4 games a year on that one. And look, who's to say if Lane stays in Ole Miss a little longer than we think he will, that they could kind of push with this thing. But to Brett's point, no, it is not a just one team because you can't be on top forever, and you've always got competition because all these guys can recruit.
After A&M, I think everybody would agree if the SEC is going to make it 7 different teams since 1998 in this next chunk of years, it's probably A&M. After that, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, South Carolina, is it legitimate? Can they?
Well, my hesitation probably tells you something.
Kentucky
with that.
In that group?
I would go with Arkansas with Pittman and what he's done early, maybe is done as well as anybody else. I still say what Lane did, and Brett was front and center, not just offensively, but I'm telling you that they had some studs on that defense this year. They didn't have as many as they wanted.
He called the defense out and DJ Durkin out after the Arkansas game, and they responded.
They sure did. There is absolutely no question about that at all. So, but no, I think of the ones you mentioned, I think Arkansas has already got a head start. Some of the others it's still going to take some time.
Mm-hmm. These two teams we watched last night play, Bama and Georgia. Going into next year, who do you think will be the better team to start the year? Do you think Bama, with the continuity, with Bryce Young coming back, will be at the top to start the year?
Yeah. Bama will be preseason number one,
Go to
starting
Austin
with the
week 2.
magazines. In the other way, too early, top 25s, and you already see a little bit of that. When you've got and Gabe, Brett and I followed this a long time, and for writers and media, if your quarterback's coming back,
huge,
and your bell cow on defense is coming back, that's going to get you to the top of the heap pretty quick.
And you have Nick Saban.
Absolutely. And again, when you look at the Alabama depth chart and that top 22 to 25, that there were basically 3 seniors who were contributing. That doesn't mean they won't lose some juniors, but at the same time, yes, Bama will be number one for everybody, and that will be steady through today, through when the AP poll comes out this coming August.
Right. Yeah, I've already let my very, very early, way too early college football playoff 4 go for next year. You ready, Brent?
Oh, hey, you're going to have to prepare yourself, Brent.
Gabe was astounded. 1 Bama, 2 Georgia, 3 Ohio State. I think that's
fair.
That's probably a consensus out there among that 3. And for the second year in a row, when so many said it would never happen, it happens 2 years in a row from the AAC. Dana Holgerson's Houston Cougars.
Yeah. Look, they have been on the verge of doing something pretty special.
Lost 1 time this year.
That's right.
On
Absolutely.
opening day to Texas Tech.
Yeah,
should have won.
No question. Beat Auburn. So I mean, you had all that up. He doesn't really get enough credit for
I think Clayton Toone's big
done
time.
with that program.
Well, the one thing, and the thing that soured me on him was the year with the Eric King opting out on the season. That's the one
he
thing
quit
that
on his
soured me.
team.
Now, granted, yes, this year he picked it back up, but I almost, with Dana Holgerson, I'm predisposed to believe that eventually it's going to sort of fizzle out like it did at West Virginia. Now, next year
Brent,
he's got everything coming back, and he's got a lot of continuity. I understand Brett's thought there, but are y'all sold on Dana Holgerson as a head football coach?
Well, Brent, we have a colleague here that we love that does a noontime show, our friend John Harden, and I like what he says about Dana Holgerson. You got to pull for a guy that's hanging to the end with those 2 long hairs.
That's tremendous.
And I also have to be careful what I say about Dana. I'm actually good friends with his nephew.
Well,
he was a teammate.
He was.
I've got a good friend who's a high school coach who's been a college coach too. That is really close with Dana, and he swears by him also. Look, he's different. He's a little Jimmy Buffett-ish, shall we say, which there's nothing wrong with that.
We shall.
But I could see. And look, Cincinnati kind of paved the way and changed the thinking of this committee, did they not?
Well, I hope they did. Now, that's my flaw in my way too early. Boy, I'm going to get stuck with this all summer, hanging with Houston. My flaw in Dana Holgerson is I don't think he's the everyday steady Eddie that Luke Fickell is.
I agree. I think there's a lot of truth there. And I think that's what I meant by my comment a few minutes ago.
About Jimmy Buffett, yes.
And I'm not being disparaging to him. He's just different, and he's a bit of a wild card, is he not, Brett? And you don't always know what you're going to get. You don't always know how he'll respond.
Well, there's a couple with that template now. Look, Lane Kiffin. You could very much describe him that way, but when it comes football time, he gets down to business. Even Alabama rocked today by the transfer portal. Just every tweet, there's somebody going into it. Even the tight end, Jaleel Billingsley. I wonder if he's taking those hands of stone with him into the transfer portal because he can't catch a cold, and he's wide open every time. Also, Brent, nothing sacred. Paul Tyson, great-great-grandson of Coach Bryant, into the transfer portal. I mean, this is kind of the opposite of the Junction boys. They go out in 2 buses and come back in 1. Transfer portal, you go off in 1 and you come back in 50.
Well, here's what happened with Billingsley. they thought Billingsley would be a star this year after last year.
Well, they missed.
And they did. And listen, Bill O'Brien's reaction would told a lot of things, because they were targeting and they wanted to make him a bigger part of this offense than he was ready to be a part. And Billingsley needed to go. He had attitude issues. He's a really, if someone can harness him.
He was a carrier. He was a super spreader because he gave me a bad attitude.
Yeah. So and look, Tyson is a guy that's just roster management. He's a good kid. He's a big kid. He's got a strong arm. But let's be honest, but particularly with the guys they're bringing in. That was one of those situations where he was never going to really be able to play.
And it also seems, you can talk about Bama outgoing transfers all you want, it seems like there's nobody in college football right now more well-equipped to deal with transfer portal than Nick Saban.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and I'll tell you what happened, Gabe, and Brett's aware of this. Believe it or not, who knows when they got back, but I guarantee you he met, and this is what he does this week, a lot of coaches do, they meet with their players. Now, it may be a 10 or 15-minute meeting, right, Brett? They've got all this stuff drawn up, and they say, look, this is what we see for you, and
we found you a place you can play.
Absolutely, and they've got on there, too. Absolutely. And I can tell you that those guys in the transfer portal were probably among the group he met with today, right?
And they'll do it again in May after spring football before everybody leaves campus.
Right.
There will be another round. Let's call it what it is, cuts.
That's the point I'm trying. I mean, you look at even when I was in college, it was completely different with the transfer portal. You didn't have the one-time exception. You couldn't play immediately unless you transferred down a level. But I never had a bad exit meeting. But I had a bunch of teammates who had terrible exit meetings that were told, "Hey,
Gabe,
it may be
were
better
some of
for
them
you
shocked
to look."
by it? Were they
Yes,
surprised
of course.
they were told?
Well, everyone who's a scholarship athlete expects. They've always been the best player at their high school and what have you. So
Would they come back
to play.
to the dorm and say, "They just told me to"?
Oh, they tell
my grip.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The conversations definitely travel. But nowadays, I mean, it has become. The roster management is different. You talk about players being able to move easily. There are coaches that move on from players just as easily.
Yeah.
And they take away that scholarship and they say, get in the transfer
And
portal.
look
You
at
can
all
move on.
all these analysts. I mean, there are people now in the building that I don't know what they do.
No. And look, they've all got a job. And look, there's when they meet with those players. Listen, they probably got a data on some of those players from what they ate for breakfast 3 months ago from one of those analysts at this point. So Brett's right. Somehow they all have a place. They're making. I asked about this one day. That they're making them. I think anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 a year. So just to get your feet back under you, that's not a bad job.
Mm-hmm. There's no question about it. Since we talked about Houston and Brett has called his shot for the Final Four next year with Houston, I honestly, I'm going to tell Bryant to cut that clip to make sure that we have it saved. We have to save it. The first three, I don't mind. Ohio State, Bama, Georgia, I can understand completely. Out of the AAC too, though, I found this interesting. John Rice Plumlee headed to UCF. I think that's a good fit. What do you think about that team going forward? What do you think that he can fit in there and possibly be the quarterback of the future for Gus?
Maybe.
It's
Gabe,
Gus.
I'll just be honest with you. I'm not a big Gus fan. I hear all this, and this is why I say this. Gus has this reputation as a quarterback whisperer, and they've had quarterbacks that have struggled forever. And the other thing is, and this is extremely important to a quarterback, he, for whatever reason, cannot recruit offensive linemen. Mm-hmm. And that's not Brent Beard saying it. That is all, and Brett's heard this, that is Auburn beat writers who said that, Gabe. Mm-hmm. And so my thing is, it happened again this year. I know the promises. I know they're excited about beating Florida and all that. But until he shows us something different, Gus is a 3 to 5 loss coach on average per year.
That's it.
But he's had his up years, and this is where I want to go with this. Is you compare Dana Holgerson to him? Is Dana that much better of a football coach than Gus Malzahn? I guess that would be my question. When we're talking about Houston versus UCF in the AAC.
Yeah, if you ask me to choose between the two, I'd
Dana?
go with Dana.
Okay.
Absolutely, I would.
Okay.
Now, it could end in one terrific hot mess with Dana Holgerson. I mean, you just feel like it could be a casino in Monte Carlo.
Yeah. That's probably as far as we need to go with that, but that's well said.
I was thinking something else and just went casino in Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
We might need to move on. I hope my buddy Clay Holgerson isn't listening right now. My gosh.
But I think it'd be fun running with Uncle Dana. Clay,
no question.
Don't be mad.
Could we keep up, though, Brad? That's my question.
No. Because the real fun things start after 9 o'clock, and I'm in bed most nights at 9.
Absolutely. Or hey, at least we're I'm taking my valerian root sleep supplement and a little bit of warm milk, and off we go, okay?
And flannel pajamas.
Gabe can't relate to that, can you, Brett?
I turned the electric blanket on at 7.
I can't relate to the warm milk. I got to be honest. I can't relate to the warm milk.
Hey, Gabe.
Do you heat it up on the stove, or do you put it in the microwave? That's my question.
The microwave. The only thing I put on the stove is oatmeal. But and listen, and while Brett and I are getting comfy, we're scanning the dial, and after our favorite Gunsmoke and Wild Wild West goes off, we're looking at probably SEC storied or a replay of a good game.
Oh, I love Wild Wild West.
I do. It's my favorite show of all time.
All time. And one of the great character actors ever, the small man that was the villain all the years.
It was Michael Dunn.
Oh, it's great.
What was his name? Megalito.
Lovelace.
Dr. Lovelace.
Yeah. One of the great character actors of all time.
Are we boring Gabe right now, Brent?
Oh, no, yeah. No, I know exactly what you guys are talking about. Exactly. I know what's going on. No, I don't. Absolutely not.
Brent, I couldn't live on the East Coast because I couldn't stay up and watch the 11 o'clock news.
Look, it's funny you said that. I had this conversation the other day, and we're chasing too many rabbits, I guess, today. But I miss Central Time. I grew up in Alabama. I lived in Texas for a while, working on a degree. And look, to me, Central Time has always been the greatest time of all.
It's the same time zone.
Yeah.
Brent. He's our man, Brent Beard, on college football. Follow him on Twitter at Brent Beard. Brent, appreciate it, man.
My pleasure, guys. Enjoyed it.
Talk next week. You got it.
Gunsmoke and Wild Wild West.
Wild Wild West is great.
You watch it every night before bed? Is that what you're talking about?
I get it on.
What? Well, yeah, what would that be on? What channel?
364
what
DirecTV.
What would that?
Like
what
the
network?
Family TV network, FTV, something like that.
It's just a Western, I'm assuming.
Well, it was 2 Secret Service agents in the late 1800s.
Okay.
Really good stuff.
Okay. I can't promise you that I will tune in and educate myself on it, but you can do your best to educate me on it.
I'll get you that account on Prime.
No. You can't. You're not using my accounts. I can't use your accounts, right? That's how that works.
No.
I don't want to get caught for pirating. We don't need to get the FBI involved in this. When we come back on the other side, we're going to bring on our good friend Dave Voloshin, voice of the Tigers, to talk about some Tigers basketball in particular. They will be in action tomorrow in Orlando versus UCF. We discuss when we come back on Sports 56 98.5.
The all-new Sports 56 Mornings with Ray Gaston and Eli Savoy. Brought to you by Action 24/7, James Gaddis Jewelers, and Acura of Memphis. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10 right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Get in the swing of things. Grab your friends, your clients, your employees, and go enjoy everything you love about Topgolf in a luxury suite while at Memphis' only Topgolf Swing Suite at Erling Jensen's Small Bites. Topgolf Swing Suite is an immersive social experience offering guests a luxury private lounge to enjoy Erling Jensen's extraordinary food and beverage service, all while playing a selection of games in a one-of-a-kind simulation bay. Topgolf Swing Suites are great for work outings, celebrations, or just getting together. It's fun for the whole family. It's fun for golfers and non-golfers alike. they have more than just golf. They have soccer, baseball, zombie dodgeball, football, and more. Located at 5069 Sanderlin, adjacent to the Doubletree East Memphis. Check us out at SwingSuiteMemphis.com or call us at 901-58-SWING. Again, that's 901-58-SWING at Memphis' only Top Golf Swing Suite at Erling Jensen's Small Bites. Book your suite today.
Welcome back to the quickest podcast ever, brought to you by Kohl's.
Today's topic, exercise.
You know, the right gear makes all the difference.
Sure does, which is why I went to Kohl's and got an Adidas hoodie for my husband and some Under Armour gear for myself.
Is shopping your cardio?
More like my motivation. I also picked up some Nike sneakers for my son.
Oh, family workouts.
That's the goal. Select styles. Coupons do not apply. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohls.com for details.
They've raised the bar again at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. I like to say this is the new standard, the way car business should be done. And to prove it, out of 355 dealers in America that sell Genesis cars, the one in Olive Branch, Genesis of Olive Branch, was top 50 in the country, top 10 in the region, and number 2 in the district. And guess what? They want to be number 1. That means there are opportunities out there for you. It's the safest, and every new, latest bit of technology that makes the experience of driving a car better, they've got it at Genesis of Olive Branch. If we start with the G70, the highest performing car I've ever owned, all the way to the G80 or the G90, the biggest of the sedans, you'll love everything about the car. If you would like to try the new SUV, the GV80, you call Vinny Gerard at 662-890-6684. He will bring it out to you.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56 560 AM and 98.5 FM, your Mid-South sports station.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Back rolling on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats. Autos on listener line 901-360-8255. Questions, comments, concerns to there. Also message us on our socials. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and at sports56whbq.com. Our next guest, you can listen to him every day from 10 to 11 on Wolo and Friends. You can hear he calls every single game for the Tigers. He's the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin. Dave, how's it going?
It is excellent. I am sitting in a brand new hotel right across from the campus of Central Florida called the Celeste. I saw them building it the last couple of years. I didn't realize what it was. So I am actually overlooking a pool, the campus. There's some stadium lights in the background, and I don't know if this is like a flyway for some sort of ducks or geese or something, but I'm watching them go as the sun sets, and I'm talking to two of my favorite guys. I mean, how can I beat life? This is great.
We're glad to have you, Dave. Give us the temperature down there.
Or you don't have to. You don't have to make us jealous.
I'm going to say it's 70, 72, something like
Are you losing golf balls tomorrow?
Not at this point. I'm not. I'm doing my show, and then I'll probably just sort of take it. I'm going to walk around the campus because I don't normally have a lot of time to do that. And Central Florida is
boom time.
It's an amazing story. I'll tell you, we flew into Sanford, and from the air you can see basically. Well, there's two things that strike you when you start. And you're on the opposite side from Sanford. That's past where Sanford is, like toward Orlando. You see what probably Walt Disney saw years ago: just trees and swamps and flat, maybe some rolling hills, land on occasion, and nothing. I mean, nothing. But then as you're coming in, then you would approach Sanford, and if you're looking toward Orlando, you can just see the amount of growth. It is, I mean, the whole area is booming. It'll be as big probably as Tampa or Miami, one of those.
Well,
without
Ian. Soon enough.
Central Florida, correct me if I'm wrong, student population there is
biggest.
Skyride's at what,
Biggest in the
50 or
country.
60?
Oh, no.
Or 100?
70.
70?
70.
Yeah.
Oh, it's up there.
70. Yes, in the 70s, and yeah, the city of Orlando did an amazing thing. As big as this school is, they've only used about 25% of their land. They actually gave them all the land just free. And again, as big as it is right now, they have only used about a quarter of the property, and it is gorgeous. It is stunning, and it's a cool place. There's just no question about it.
Now, it's 42 years ago or so, 43 years ago or so, but a friend of mine that played football at Sewanee in the late 70s, they were playing Central Florida in football then.
You know who they were probably playing? You know who their quarterback was then? Darren Henshaw.
Oh, wow.
He was the number one quarterback for Central Florida until Dante Culpepper came along. How about that? They were a 1AA school, though, back in those days.
All right, to hoops, though, and to hoops tomorrow night. Yesterday, I'm a little more enthusiastic about the Tigers in this run to start the new calendar year than Gabe is. Gabe wants to see this week on the road. A 2-0 road trip this week for the Tigers. I think we're kind of back. We're back to that preseason hype hope, are we?
Well, I would, first of all, I'd love to hear why Gabe is so reticent to believe in this team.
It's just it's a consistency thing. It's a consistency thing. I just want to see road games in conference. If they can go 2-0 this week, I'll be there.
Just don't forget. I mean, the loss they had in conference was to a Tulane team, and they didn't have Duran and Williams.
Understood.
And Bates. They didn't have their three, potentially best players at that particular time. I'm going to be a lot more bullish than I was. There's a time I've sort of been practicing this. I'll give it to you guys first. I was going to say at one point, this season seems more Fellini than it does Hardaway. That there are more bizarre, surreal turns and twists in this season than you could ever believe, and there's drama everywhere. And that's sort of how I was feeling. But now I think they've turned the corner. I think they really turned the corner when they came together after that meeting. That players-only meeting, which most of the time, Gabe, and you know this, it's a bunch of bull. But I really believe they had to have that. They all kind of came together, and then they got COVID again. And it all happened around Tennessee, and then they were missing key guys when they went to Tulane. And Tulane is actually a team that had, 6 or 8 transfers that are suddenly learning how to play with one another, and they've decided that Kid Cook is going to be their star. They beat Cincinnati at Cincinnati by 8 points. So they're a little better than we thought that they might be. But if Memphis had their players, they would have won that game at Tulane. Then they go and they wipe out Wichita State. That looks pretty good. Okay, they did look a little rough against Tulsa. I'll give you that. But they've struggled. But they won the game. If you lost the game, okay, but you didn't. You won the game, and then you showed a lot of guts and heart against Cincinnati, which I think is a decent team. Remember, that's a team that beat Illinois by 20. And if you look at the Jimmy Shapiro odds, and he gives you all these conferences, the Illini are the number one favorite team to win the Big Ten. So I thought that was eye-opening, because Williams didn't play in the game, and you brought Bates back, and Bates played like a real team player.
Sure did.
6 assists, 1 turnover, no crazy, stupid shots. Played in control.
Played defense.
And, let's face it, this story of Tyler Harris is a great story. So you got to love that. I think they're going to definitely win on Saturday. I probably shouldn't proclaim that crazy things have happened in Greenville in the past, not often, but in the past. But this tomorrow is the one. They're a big team. They're another big team. And, they beat Michigan. They beat Michigan handily, but then I don't know what's happened there. They've lost 2 in a row, and they lost to a team at home that they beat Temple by 13 in Philly. So there's something going on with this team that we're talking about, UCF.
And I don't know what's going on with Michigan, but when I watch Michigan, their guards are a mess. But that Michigan front line, that's NBA stuff, and UCF, they took it to them. The road trip starts tomorrow night. A 2-0 week, I think, would really jazz everybody up around here with what the Grizzlies are doing, and the people still clinging to the Tigers with a lot of hope.
Yeah, you know what? It's really kind of fun to watch all of this.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
Have the Grizzlies and the Tigers ever been good at the same time? I don't think they have. Mm-hmm. So that would be super in its own right if that's the way all this works. And look, I mean, tonight at FedEx Forum, by NBA power rankings, you got the number 1 team, Golden State, against the number 2 team, the Grizzlies. Yep. The Grizzlies. That's phenomenal to me. But back to the Tigers, I think they have turned the corner. I think if we hadn't had that COVID thing, they'd really be on a run right now. And I wanted to bring this out. I mentioned it on my show today. I talked with Mike DeCourcy about this from the Sporting News. It's hard to believe, but the American Athletic Conference, including Memphis, has 6 top 73 net teams. And even now the Wichita State win, which had been a quad 1 win, went to a quad 2, now is a quad 1 win again because they're 71 in the net. I mean, there's 6 teams, so that means at this very moment today, might not be that way at the end of the year, but at this very moment today, Memphis will have 5 opportunities, including tomorrow, for quad 1 wins. They've already got 3 quad 1 wins. Guys, they didn't have 1 quad 1 win all of last year, and we all thought they should have made the NCAA tournament.
And that's the opportunity ahead of them. And then you look at Houston, down their 2 best players. I mean, it is wide open for the Tigers. And I'm glad you brought up, and I wanted to bring this up, Emoni Bates, what he did the other day, 12 points, I think 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 turnover. Do you think sitting out and having that time to sort of sit on the sideline and understand his role, how much do you think that helped him? Did you get a sense of that watching him play the other day?
Oh, I got a sense of it when I watched him, and then I really got a sense of it when I talked with him. He was part of our post-game radio interviews, and I asked him, and I brought up the fact that Zaire Williams had made the statement that he felt sitting out for a couple of weeks and just watching really helped him understand the NBA game a little bit more. I asked him if he thought missing a month, because that's what he ended up missing. 3 games, but a month because of the COVID stops. If that was any benefit to just sit and watch, maybe watch more film, but to watch the way the game is played from the bench. He said absolutely it had helped them. So, yeah, there's your answer. Sometimes just watching the whole process, not feeling the pressure to be involved, can pay off. And there's no question he feels the pressure. I mean, he himself said he wasn't having any fun. No, he had fun the other day. And let's just hope, look, I think Emoni Bates, if Memphis is to have the kind of runs that you and I have all talked about this whole basketball season, making a run to the second week or better in the NCAA tournament, Emoni Bates does not, in my mind, have to be the star of this team, but he's got to be a really good contributing player. And he's on that road to being that right now. I mean, this season still has plenty of potential. There's no doubt in my mind.
Dave, for Coach Hardaway, if this week goes like it should, I think you'll have a sense of relief from him in kind of salvaging the season from that 1 hour before game, news of the game not going off at Tennessee. What are you hearing on the rescheduling front? I know it's not going to be Tennessee, but are they still trying to work in a game?
Well, they are, and he acknowledged yesterday on his radio show that he had really pursued, and I guess had come close to, and I don't know if it's dead, they were trying to get Colorado State. Colorado State at the time was the top 25 team when they were in their discussions. Now they're a 40 team, so if you still went to a neutral or to their place, it would be a quad 1 opportunity, and that's really what he's trying to find. So he definitely wants to fill the void. There is a spot in the calendar, we've mentioned it before, Feb 12 to Feb 20, where you can play a game. And if you could find somebody that would make that a quad 1 or a really quality quad 2 opportunity, I think Memphis needs to take it, and I think Penny feels that same way.
do you think it's absolutely positively necessary to protect home court? Can they afford a home loss the rest of the year?
I think if they lose to Houston, that's a number 3 seed. They could get away with losing twice, but I don't think there's any other team in the league that they could lose twice to. So they're going to have to make up that home loss in New Orleans, or that road loss, in New Orleans. They're going to have to make that up against Tulane at home. I think they should sweep Wichita State. Wichita State has a hard time matching up with Memphis. They just don't have the ability inside to do that. And if you stop Etienne, I think you stop that team. And they're a pretty good team. Memphis is going to get us at SMU at home first, so you get sort of the first salvo there. I think that's always nice. So that makes tomorrow, because this is the first time you see UCF, and I'm trying to remember their net ranking. It qualifies for a quad 1 win because they're actually 62. If you get them here, then you're certainly going to be favored to get them there. I'll be interested in seeing what the odds are. I would suspect Memphis to be favored by 4 or 5 tomorrow.
All right, Dave, we've got to get a football comment from you. We're short on time, but you are the McCaskey's designated coaching hire guy. And you can hire anybody out there in football. Who do you hire?
Well, I don't think I'd go with the odds-on favorite that the Bears or Jimmy Shapiro put out today. Did you see those odds?
I did.
They think it's Jim Harbaugh. The guy that's way down at 12-1.
I love Harbaugh.
Who's the OC at New England. Help me out. I can't remember his name right now. Josh McDaniel. Look what he has done with Mac Jones this year. Could you imagine that marriage with Justin Fields?
He's
somebody young.
Now you're going to have the Patriots' offensive line to go with that.
I would say, Dave, he's very bullish on the system he wants to run. He tried to do it there in Denver with Tim Tebow, and then we know how that worked. Yeah. He's very bullish. He does not switch his styles based on the quarterback.
I'm going to say it. Hiring Harbaugh would be the impact that Ditka had.
Well, if it did, that means the Super Bowl, one of the greatest teams of all time. But the strength of that team was Buddy Ryan's side.
How about Brian Daboll for the Bills OC?
Brian he didn't knock me over that year at Alabama.
He's done well with Josh Allen. There's no question about it.
But a lot of tools there, and not dissimilar to Justin Fields.
Justin Fields has some tools.
All right, Dave, go get him.
Whoever can make Justin Fields great.
Okay, I hear that.
That's who now, look, seriously, I think the McCaskeys were class. I really do. I think Bear fans deserve better.
Much better.
I think Virginia McCaskey is in her 90s. She's lived a great life. I hope she's picking the right person to help make this deal work. But I appreciate the fact that they did not fire Nagy midseason. I never have understood midseason firings. I really don't. Unless you're trying to get somebody you think you're going to lose, but the way it's all structured, that doesn't occur anymore.
That's right.
So a nod to class for keeping Nagy till the end, and a nod for finally getting rid of him.
I hear you. He is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin. You can hear him tomorrow on the call. Dave, appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. And I remind everybody I will be speaking with our man Brett tomorrow, 10:30 Memphis time, or a little before that, 10:25.
You got it. Have a good night out tonight, Dave. Thank you.
You got it. Bye-bye.
And also, for Dave's Bears, they're going to have to find a GM. They got it. They cleaned house.
And they have to make the decision to go out to Arlington Park with the newfangled $2 billion stadium, and will it be at minimum retractable where they can host a Super Bowl, Final Fours, things like that?
Yeah, and it's Black Monday turned into Black Tuesday, so we're going to have to talk about a firing when we come back in the NFL, and we'll also get to some of the interviews that have happened around the NFL in regards to head coaching vacancies. We'll discuss that and more when we come back on Sports 56 98.5.
You have opinions?
What do you hear? What do you say?
We want to hear them. Call or text us on the AutoZone listener line at 360-8255. That's the AutoZone listener line at 901-360-8255.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Looking for some action? Sports gambling is legal in Tennessee. Action247.com. Local, legal. A sportsbook by Tennesseans, for Tennesseans. Go to Action247.com. Register and place your bets. Are you a sharp? or a first-time bettor, Action 24/7 has you covered. Visit us online at action247.com. Local, legal. Action 24/7. You got action.
Problem gambling? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing is now currently hiring all positions. If you're ready to take your career to the next level, please apply today. Choate's is offering huge sign-on bonuses to seasoned technicians, plumbers, installers, and air duct cleaners. At Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing, we offer a career, not just a job, by putting you in a paid training program to develop your technical and customer service skills to best serve our customers. Choate's offers top pay in the Mid-South, weekly pay, paid vacation and holidays, company matching retirement account, health, dental, vision, and life insurance, and Christmas, Thanksgiving, and birthday bonuses. If this sounds like an exciting opportunity for you, then we should talk. So call us at 347-8086 or apply online at choateshvac.com under the careers link. Come, join our family.
I'm with Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Shipping Kitchen. Pat, how are things downtown at the Shipping Kitchen?
Thanks, Brett. Wow, what a year it's been. 2020 threw a lot of changes at us. One of them was our great Memphis customers figured out how to ship our ribs all over the country.
Pat, we know you ship your ribs and shoulder all over the country. What are some of the other popular packages?
One of our most popular packages that's come out in the last year or two has been the barbecue nacho box. Well, our nacho box is an all Memphis box. It includes our pork shoulder. It includes our friends at Poncho's cheese dip. Also includes Brim's chips, Felicia Suzanne's peppers, a bottle of our barbecue sauce, a bottle of our famous seasoning, some reheating tips, wet naps, cook hats, and you can even throw in a box of Dinstall's Cashew Crunch for the sweet tooth.
And Pat, this ships overnight just like the rest.
Brett, it sure does.
Where do we order this great food?
You can get these boxes by visiting our website. Go to www.hogsfly.com.
In the Alley in Mr. Charlie Virgos' Rendezvous, a family-owned restaurant in downtown Memphis since 1948.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
So we had Black Monday yesterday. Had our firings. Moved on from some coaches. But we've transitioned into Black Tuesday. We are in a interesting spot. So the open jobs right this second as a Black Monday were Bears, Vikings, Dolphins, Broncos, Jags, and Raiders. We've added one to that, and it's the head coach of the Giants. Joe Judge has been fired with the Giants, and it is a move that Dave Gettleman, of course, retired, their GM, who was 19-46 as the GM while he was there. I mean, just terrible job
the
drafting.
Daniel Jones era.
Yes, and that error will cost you. Ryan Pace, the error with Mitch Trubisky, that cost him his job in Chicago.
They're about to waste Saquon Barkley.
This was a move that I don't think the Giants fans were really expecting necessarily.
Well, he got the vote of confidence late Sunday night, early Monday. Now, a day later, they decide to change that. We're waiting on David Culley in Houston. They're stringing him out until Friday or Saturday, which is sad. Mm-hmm. And a legendary figure in Nashville sports and SEC, the first black quarterback ever at Vanderbilt for Steve Sloan in the mid-'70s.
That's sick what they're doing to him.
It's awful. It's awful what was
stupid.
done to him last year.
It's very dumb to think about 1 year, a placeholder basically for that Texans organization, and now they're just going to throw him out. And he didn't do anything bad with what he had this year. They got killed. They got beat sometimes, but he has Davis Mills as his starting quarterback for most of the year. He didn't have much of a chance to start with, and that roster was just not put together very well.
With the firing of Zimmer, Nagy, Gruden, it moves Mike Vrabel to number 11 in seniority.
He's done such a good job, Brett. I don't know if we ever give him enough credit what he has built there.
And he's got this weekend off, number 1 seed.
And doing it without Derrick Henry. Finding a way. Just finding a way every week.
Doing it with Ryan Tannehill.
Well, I think Ryan Tannehill is better than we gave him credit for when he was in Dolphin country with Adam Gase. But Ryan Tannehill's career, the reason he's gotten this contract is, in my opinion, because of Derrick Henry and how good he has been at running the football.
If Ryan Tannehill won a Super Bowl, he would be the worst Super Bowl winning quarterback ever.
Oh, Trent Dilfer?
That's close.
Yeah.
Brad Johnson?
Yeah, but you could put
Jeff
him up
Hostetler?
there. Yes. I would say Joe Flacco, but Joe Flacco played unbelievably.
Don't say
playoffs.
that to our friend Drew.
Oh, but
and I was pulling so hard
Joe
on Sunday
Flacco,
for Pittsburgh, and then I felt bad I was doing that to Drew.
You have to give a shout out to Joe Flacco for that one playoff run. He really played well.
Beat
in
Peyton
those
Manning.
playoffs, and threw for a lot of yards. Was the Super Bowl MVP.
Beat Cap in the Super Bowl.
He played really well. Now, some of the hot names that are going to come up consistently in this round of NFL sort of realignment in the coaching ranks. Byron Leftwich, Bucks OC, will come up. Brian Dable, OC for the Bills, will come up. OC for the Cowboys, DC for the Cowboys too.
Does Rich
Kellen
Bisaccia
Moore
hang
and,
on
and
to
Dan
in
Quinn.
Las Vegas?
I'm not sure.
He won a playoff game with
No,
him.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Special teams guy, lifetime special teams guy. From what I understand, I think he's a lifetime NFL guy too. So
was at Ole Miss
we'll
for
see.
Davey Cutcliffe a long time ago.
Okay, so he's in college too.
But more pro. And even there, he wanted to get to the pros. He always did.
Some other names, Bucks DC, Todd Bowles, Chiefs OC, Eric Bieniemy, which has been the hot name for 3 years now. And that has never materialized. This year, it's kind of calmed down. I haven't heard much about him, Eric Bieniemy, doing a whole bunch of interviews. He has interviewed, but not as much as he has in the past couple years.
Anybody in the playoffs, not Bisaccia, any permanent head coach in the playoffs in jeopardy if they lose? Cliff Kingsbury.
No way. Because what they had before was miserable.
Yeah.
They were terrible before he got there.
Mike McCarthy go out in really ugly style this weekend.
I don't think so. I don't think
I don't
so.
either. I'm just
and
throwing
also,
it out.
Mike McCarthy has sort of handed off the offensive coordinating to Kellen Moore. You can tell he's a lot more hands off than he ever was. I don't think anybody's at jeopardy in the playoffs right now. I guess definitely not Kyle Shanahan, although that's probably the best case I could make. Kyle Shanahan, he has, and then obviously injuries have been an issue, but he has underachieved for the most part. I think the past couple of years, but
got in.
Yep. One of the names that always comes up that I sort of wonder at this point if he'd be interested at making. Well, I'm sure he'd be interested, but I wonder if he'd be the same as he was when he was at his peak. But Jim Caldwell has come up a lot. 66 years old. We know what he has done in his past. I mean, very, very good Super Bowl winning coordinator. Went to the Lions with Matt Stafford and Megatron and won games consistently. Didn't win a playoff game, but won games, got to the playoffs. And I always thought it was unfair what was done to Jim Caldwell in Detroit.
But Detroit.
Yes. No one does. I mean, no one wins there. No one. And Jim Caldwell did. The fact that he hadn't gotten another opportunity or even really mentioned up until now is a surprise to me.
None of this weekend's games, none of the underdogs, none of the roadies really, I have no gravitational pull to them. There are not any of them I really like.
None of these lines are tough.
Real tough.
These lines are real tough. I mean, you're talking about 5.5, Bengals favored over the Raiders. Make me pick a side. I don't know if I can.
Home time of year.
Yes, and Raiders have to travel. They're a dome team having to travel to Ohio. It'll be cold. Patriots, Bills 4-point favorites. I guess that would probably be the line I like the most. I think if everything's sort of even, and it'll be a balmy 8 degrees in Buffalo, if there's not a bunch of wind and a whole bunch of elements, I think the Bills can win that game pretty handily. The Patriots have cooled off drastically. Eagles, Bucks 8.5. Do you trust the Bucks to cover an 8.5 without their offensive weapons? I'm not sure.
in this weekend's games, no first-time meetings. Everybody's met at least once in playoffs.
The lopsided one, though.
Historically.
Chiefs-Steelers. Yeah, any chance the Steelers can stick in there and maybe win that game, I don't buy it.
They better have a great defensive plan.
That's
whole lot of T.J. Watt.
That's the big line, though. Chiefs 12.5-point favorites.
I mean, that looks like the Armed Forces Bowl line.
Against the Steelers. And we know a guy that covers the Steelers. He'll be coming on next. Bo Marchant to talk some NFL when we come back right here on Sports 56 98.5.
Wildcard weekend just got wilder. FanDuel Sportsbook is hooking new customers up with 30-1 enhanced odds. That means you can bet $5 to win $150 on any team to win any wildcard game. Just sign up for FanDuel Sportsbook and make a deposit to claim your 30-1 enhanced odds. Already have FanDuel Sportsbook? FanDuel is hooking all customers up with $50 when you refer a friend. Plus, your friend will get $50 too. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app using promo code BIGHEAD and pick your wildcard team before kickoff. Must be 21 and older and present in Tennessee. New users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. Max bonus $150. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789.
It's a brand new year.
And yet still here you are.
And now I'm not saying that you should make New Year's resolutions.
But if you did, they should all have something to do with Central Barbecue, right?
You think I'm so predictable?
That's because you are.
I could have been about to say anything.
As long as anything by mean telling people to go to Central Barbecue.
Well, yeah.
See, predictable. Still, we do love us some Central Barbecue.
Exactly. So people should resolve to spend plenty of time at one of the 4 locations of Central Barbecue this year.
You know what? You're right.
And you said I was predictable.
I knew you were going to say that.
Hey, you're not Pete.
Did you know that over 90% of male enhancement pills are virtually the same thing that's repackaged, redone over and over again? Why settle for the same old product when you can get something completely different? Something that takes male enhancement into the 21st century. Something that really works. Men, you need to try Noxitrol, the explosive, all-natural male enhancement formula that will unlock your performance in the bedroom to a level you could only dream of. Try to imagine that little blue pill on steroids. Noxitrol is so powerful. That's why it took years for it to finally become available to the public without a prescription. So call now and take advantage of our special Noxitrol free bottle offer today. Oh yeah, we recommend that you use the Noxitrol dose as directed. Think of your partner. We certainly don't want you to overperform in the bedroom.
Call now and find out how to get a free bottle of Noxitrol while supplies last. Call 1-800-231-8913. That's 800-231-8913. Free bottle for limited time. Call now. 800-231-8913. 800-231-8913.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit binswingerglass.com. Binswanger Glass.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Final hour on this day, and you know how we started. We started talking the National Football League with Bo Marchant from collegetopro.com, and he's getting ready for his busiest time of the year, playoffs, and then the Senior Bowl, and then the combine and scouting and all that. So we got a lot to visit with Bo today, and in the weeks ahead, we have him with us every week, talk the NFL. NFL playoffs are here. Brett Norsworthy here for FanDuel, and to celebrate FanDuel Sportsbooks giving all customers up to a $100 bonus on same-game parlays. Just place a same-game parlay on any Super Wildcard weekend game and get a bonus whether you win or lose. The more you bet, the more you'll get. Here's what I like this weekend. It's Dak's coming out time. Playoff Prescott. That's what you're going to see on full display. I like the Cowboys money line. I like the Cowboys if you want to lay the points. I like Dak in the over passing yards. Dak in his rushing yards. Cowboys start the march to a great playoff season this weekend. Log on to FanDuel Sportsbook to unlock your same-game parlay bonus today. Plus, if it's your first time betting with FanDuel, you can also enjoy 30-1 odds on any team in the wild card to win after using promo code CASH. You can turn a $5 bet, $5, into $150. Remember to use promo code CASH so they know I sent you. Exclusively on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Must be 21 and older and present in Tennessee. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max bonus $100 plus 400 odds or longer wager required. Restrictions do apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. This hour of our show brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales. They're on Goodman Road at 5704 Goodman Road, and they're online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. They know we live in a world today that time really matters, and that's why they keep it simple and want to make it such the ultimate car experience for you when you visit DeSoto Auto Sales. All the cars test-driven, all thoroughly examined for you, every make, every model. If it's not on the lot, they'll find the special car just for you. You'll be treated like family. When you find that car, you test drive that car within 45 minutes, credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're out of there in time to do it over your busy lunch hour, or like right now, and still get downtown to FedEx Forum for the Grizzlies game tonight. You can do that at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales. Bo Marchant joins us now. And, Bo,
Hey, Bo.
I've apologized formally on the air. We let our friend Drew Barrett down on Sunday. You were covering the game in Baltimore. I'm pulling hard for the Steelers. And our friend Drew, the ultimate Ravens fan, look how we did him. It was just no need to do Drew like that, was it?
Nah, there was no ill will. It's just part of the process and where we kind of position ourselves.
He's a big boy, but I don't like rubbing it in and fanning him like that. But you were at the game. You had a great seat for it in Baltimore, a fun setting for you. And I texted you. You were doing what we love.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's just a blessing to be down there and taking the game in, especially that atmosphere. I mean, M&T Bank, it's fabulous there. The crowd's so intense. And, a large contingency of Steeler fans, I think that might have coincided with, possibly being Roethlisberger's last game. They wanted to send him off. But, another ugly win. Ben said it, on his other game on Monday night, when they won. To think that this team's 9-7-1, just kind of remarkable that they've made the playoffs, especially with 4 games left and the beating they took in Cincinnati. I mentally wrote them off. I didn't know if they were going to win another game, but they ended up going 3-1, and now they're off to Kansas City. So it should be a fun time.
The Steelers owe Brandon Staley a steak dinner. It seems like that could have ended in a tie and left them out, but that's another discussion for another day. Where do you think this year ranks? Obviously, Steelers getting into the playoffs barely. Where do you think this year ranks with seasons that Mike Tomlin has coached?
Well, I think the Duck Hodges year when they went 8-8, I still think is his best coaching. They were so depleted. I always called it a skeleton crew offensively and defensively, and somehow they managed to, almost make the playoffs. Even then, it came down to the final week, and I think something happened with the Dolphins where the Dolphins won or lost, and that kind of, manipulated them to, not be in. But, this is another good year. And I always say the expectations are so high in Pittsburgh that, anything less than a Super Bowl, it's, people are going to be aggravated. And when they had Ben and AB and Le'Veon Bell and that offense was so potent, that was when the defense was trying to catch up with the offense. And, now those guys are gone. Ben's going to retire. And now the defense has those new pieces. And we know Najee Harris is, a solid, he's a, blue chip, going to be a Pro Bowler for years to come. But, I think it's about finding them to be on the same page and not catching up with the other one. And I think that's what we've kind of seen in the last few years. But remarkable year. I said the defense was going to be the hallmark of this team, and they got beat up front early, and Tuitt left, and got hurt, and then Isaiah Buggs. And I remember Cam Hayward after the game when Buggs got hurt, where you could just see the anguish and the expression in his attitude of he knew they were going to be in trouble up front. And we've seen. I think 5 games with 200+ yards, and I think that hasn't happened since some ungodly, statistics, back in the 80s or something. So they've been gashed up front. We saw Latavius Murray Sunday. We had a 46-yarder, then a 27-yarder, and a 22-yarder. And those just make you shake your head. Those are humongous plays for a team that prides itself on not allowing big runs.
Mm-hmm. And I look at the Steelers and look at their matchup against the Chiefs, and obviously on paper, the biggest mismatch. Chiefs are 12.5-point favorites at home. What do you think about this game? How do you think this will go for the Steelers? Is it too much of a hill to climb to beat the Chiefs in the current state they're in?
Yeah, I can't write them off because
right.
I think they were so embarrassed last time. I just think there's no other. I don't think they could play any worse going to Kansas City than what they did when they were there a few weeks ago. So I think that's the only salvation that I have. And if it goes their way in a bizarre way, they can, come out of Arrowhead with the victory. But, I don't think it's going to happen. But with this particular season, guys, I think anything's on the table. Mm-hmm. We've seen wild card teams, get hot and make that run. And if we're going to go under that scenario, they are 3-1 over their last 4 games. So, they're about as hot as any other team going into the playoffs. But they're just winning so ugly that it's hard to imagine them being able to put their best foot forward and beat a Kansas City Chiefs team at home. So, I think it'll be a little bit closer than, again, I don't think anything could have been worse than the last time they were there, but it'd just be hard for me to say that, they walk away with the win. And I just think that, come on, they're 12-point underdogs. I think we're, but I will say this though, I did have the Jaguars straight up over the Colts this weekend. So I will take some pride in that.
How about
Good pick there. Carson Wentz. I just don't have any faith in him, Bo. I just don't. Wherever he is, I don't think it will end well for him wherever. And now they're talking about maybe cutting loose from him. Kansas City and the Steelers all time in the playoffs, 1-1. One Chief win, one Steeler win. And, Bo, I did this research. Of the 14 playoff teams this year, I went through and counted all the different teams that they might have run into at playoff or Super Bowl time. For the Steelers, they are in a tie for first place with playing 22 different teams in the postseason. The Patriots have played 22. The 49ers have also played 22 different teams. The Steelers, by virtue of being an old NFL team, they've played 16 teams. They're in the playoffs, like in their conference side, because they used to be in the NFL. But they've also played 6 other teams on Super Bowl Sunday. So 22. They only lack playing 10 teams to make it complete in the postseason.
Dude, that's great research. That's a remarkable stat. That's one of the things I would read, or hearing it just makes me excited. That's a remarkable one. And even for the Patriots and 49ers. And that just shows you, you can't get there any other way than have postseason success. If you're one and done, you're not achieving that type of, statistic. That's fabulous research, though, and amazing stat.
Only one team of the current AFC that they've never played, and that's the Houston Texans. The Packers have played 21 different teams in the postseason. Of course, they've played Cleveland and the Colts back in the NFL. The only team they've never not played in the playoffs that's now in the NFC, the Saints.
That's crazy. I mean, those are remarkable numbers. That's wild. How about the Cardinals? I'm just curious. I mean, did they even have above 5 or 10?
They are the fewest. They are 14th out of the 14 this year. They've only met 9 other teams.
Okay.
They've only met 8 that now composes the current NFC. They're 0-1 against the Rams. They have played the Rams. They lack playing from the NFC. Never have met Chicago, Detroit, Giants, 49ers, Seattle, Tampa Bay, and Washington, and they're one Super Bowl, of course, against Pittsburgh.
Wow, that's crazy. That's a great statistic, though. That's interesting.
That's all I had to do on Sunday night.
Hey, I was driving home from Baltimore, so you had a lot more fun.
Talking with our man Bo Marchand at Bo Marchand on Twitter from collegetopro.com. Now, Black Monday is always an interesting day. You sort of know what's going to happen. There was one firing in particular that I think a lot of people are looking at with Brian Flores in Miami that was a little off. All the other ones I think a lot of people saw coming. What did you make of the Dolphins moving away from Brian Flores this early?
When I heard and saw that broke, I immediately texted one of, I guess, I don't know if it's my Miami connection, but it's the person I feel most confident in if I'm going to find anything about the Miami Dolphins. I texted that individual, and I was upset because I love Brian Flores as a head coach. And I'm like, this blew my mind. What happened? And he was very blunt. I could never read any of the things that he said on air in terms of how he was perceived. I believe in the building, in his opinion. And he said he was not a fan of, in terms of his words, Flores wasn't a fan of Tua. And I from his, explanation, he was very difficult to work in that building, and it wasn't a very, I guess, happy place.
I said it yesterday. Tua was high maintenance at Alabama, and he's been in Miami.
Now, so like I said, I don't know, and that's just one man's opinion that I received. But I was shocked because, like I said, I think he's done a fabulous job. I mean, 24-25, 19-7 over the last 2 years. They started this season off struggling, and they finished strong. They beat the Patriots over the weekend, which is always significant win. But turmoil, and Brian Dable. I think they have him. They want to interview him, the Bills OC, and he worked with Tua in Alabama, I think, in 2017. So that's just something to trying to connect the dots where they might go. We know Stephen Ross, the owner, said that Harbaugh is not an option. So maybe Brian Daboll, the Bills OC. Just again trying to connect where and who and why you might think this might happen. Maybe that might be their guy and kind of fit him with Tua and then roll with him as the franchise quarterback.
Well, yeah, and once again, you see it, Gabe, when we know it around sports. The owner's not going to get fired.
Yep.
Maybe the problem in Miami is Ross. But he's not going anywhere. He cuts a check.
Yeah, and that's the problem with sports. I mean, sports is the only business where you don't have to put a winning product on the field and you still make a million. So it's sad, but I mean they listen. I mean the Dolphins are a better team than what they have been, and they have some pieces. And I've heard, and you probably guys have heard the same things. I mean, I heard Marino was a big. I mean, I heard he wanted Herbert. He was really pushing for Herbert to come off the board with the Finns, and they took Tua. So. There's a lot of things that you could say, they didn't go in that direction. But it's one man's opinion. I mean, I'm sure there was a year that Marino wanted, some other quarterback that never panned out. So it's always easy in hindsight to say, hey, I wanted Michael Jordan and you took, Sam Bowie. So, but it's just one of those things.
History's rough on you. You can go back. I don't know how to do it, but you could go back in my Twitter feed and find the picture that I took when Ole Miss played Alabama in 2019 in Tuscaloosa. And I showed it to our friend Mike Sadie at Channel 3, the CBS affiliate here, who's a big Dolphin fan, and he immediately knew who that scout was. He said, oh, yeah, that's the primary guy with the Dolphins. And I tweeted, and I maybe commented something snarky like, I think the Dolphins have made their mind up. This guy did not have an ink pen, a notebook, a laptop, nothing with him at the game, and only stayed for a half. They knew who they were taking in September.
Oh, I'm sure, and I'm sure he probably was. He was at the facility watching game film all week, and and that's a big thing. A lot of people, if they're in the press box, they see scouts, and scouts might stick around for the second half, maybe, but then a lot of people who don't know, they'll see these guys, jettison off, and, they already spent the week, they were already on campus. They watch game film. They talk to the coaches. This is just kind of like the icing on the cake. Watch them live, and then you got your notes already done. And, if it's a great game and you're not, worried about getting off to your next, college or catch your flight, you stick around. Very rarely, very, very rarely, you're ever going to ever see an NFL scout or a CFL scout there for the duration of all 4 quarters.
The fourth quarter.
And Bo, one of my favorite things is I actually was a participant in the NFLPA Bowl in 2017 when I got done at Memphis, and the scouts stay for all the practice, watch all the practice film. Game day comes, there's not a scout inside, not even remotely near the stadium.
Yeah, Senior Bowl. I know they've changed the format; they keep changing every year. But when it was weigh-ins on Monday morning, Sunday night, Mobile, Alabama would just over-exaggerate with scouts and media, all personnel. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and when you're on your little flight out of Mobile, usually back to Dallas for my case or any other team, that little plane would be just filled with NFL personnel and media, and everybody would be leaving. Thursday, Friday, family comes in. Saturday, you play the Senior Bowl. But yeah, you witnessed it, and people hear that and they're like, "What?" But yeah, they got their notes. They saw your practice, and and that's just the way it is. So it's a fun time.
Mm-hmm. Has the quarterback class this year, looking forward to the NFL draft, you look at Kenny Pickett and Matt Corral. Has anybody else sort of jumped off the page at you besides those two?
I'm telling you, Gabe. I watch what I can. I'm picking up everything. I'm not in love with any of them.
Right.
At this, there's not one. I'm like, wow, and it's for me to be like, wow, this guy's going to, be that guy. That could change. And, I love Pickett. And I know Brett's fond of, Matt Corral. Because we've seen these guys play from the time they've started their collegiate careers, and they've done magical things. So it's hard not to say, wow, these guys are special. But, when I look at, Sam Howell, I got my question marks. Malik Willis, Liberty looks good. Carson Strong, Nevada. I see a lot of quarterbacks. They're not NFL prototypical height weight guys. I don't think they're as athletic as a Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson when it comes to running the football. So I just I don't think they're great passers. So I'm skeptical. I am, but hey, you know what? After this next process, the bowl games, and we'll really get down to the nitty gritty. I'll be like, listen, I'm all in on such and such player. But right now, I'm kind of lukewarm. There's just not one guy I'm like, but I also the guy that loved Paxton Lynch, and we saw how that career went.
Yeah, and I love Paxton Lynch too. Now he went 26. He wasn't up there being asked to be the franchise 1 or 2. Let's go to Denver, and I'm gonna give Paxton Lynch a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. We know John Elway could play that position, but we also know that John Elway can, except for when he had Peyton Manning and he tried to trade him. He tried to trade Peyton Manning. It has not worked out in picking head coaches and quarterbacks in Denver, whether it's Paxton or Osweiler or Drew Lock or Tim Tebow. He has not been good in the front office. I know he is a god in Denver, deserved, but he hadn't been great as general manager, Bo, and he's never getting fired.
No, it's difficult, and especially him playing the quarterback position and finding a guy via the draft. Manning, absent of his neck injury, we knew Peyton Manning was one of the greatest ever. You could argue greatest ever if you want to put that argument, but yeah, Drew Lock, Paxton Lynch, and then they bring in Teddy Bridgewater, who even if it is best, I don't think you were expecting a lot. I thought the worst firing even over. I thought the Vic Fangio. And you knew it was coming, but they traded Von Miller. I just don't know what anyone expected Vic Fangio to do with that team that was better than what the actual result was.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing in the AFC West. You know what I mean? I'm just saying I think if anybody pulled these teams, absent if you were like a diehard Broncos fan, you're probably going Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, and then the Broncos at the bottom. I assume, but it's one of those things. They need a quarterback, and there was rumors of last draft time with maybe a summertime deal where they would bring in Aaron Rodgers.
That's daydreaming.
It's hard to say. Yeah, it's hard to say, but they need a quarterback. Everybody needs. Yeah, you have to have one. And look at Cincinnati. You get Joe Burrow, you're in the playoffs year 2. I mean, if you have a guy that's capable, look at Kyler Murray, Arizona. If Josh Rosen was still there, they're not in the playoffs. If you have a guy that's dynamic and special, you're going to find success, and we've kind of seen it. I mean, throughout. Look at all these teams that we can go down the list. I mean, Jalen Hurts has played so well for the Eagles. I mean, Ryan Tannehill resurrected his career after a dismal time in Miami. I mean, the list goes down. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger, his final say. But all these guys, all these teams have quarterbacks. There's not one team I think you look at them and go, ugh. Probably except for the Steelers, just because Ben's in his 18th season. But you're looking at a lot of young guns and talented quarterbacks in this playoff class.
Bryant Dacus, cover your ears over this next 2.5, 3-minute dialogue. I know it would burn for you being the Cowboy fan that you are. A week from today, if the Cowboys are out of the playoffs, what are we saying? What are we saying about Dak? What are we saying about Mike McCarthy? What are we saying about Jerry Wayne Jones? What are we saying about Stephen Jones? Heck, what are we saying about any of them?
Actually, it's probably the same stuff we said when they had Jason Garrett. This team's dynamic. They
What's
have
changed?
talent.
That's what we'll say. What's changed?
Nothing, and that's the big thing. I mean, every year they have talent. They just can't get over the hump. Hopefully, this is different. You were talking about.
Are they the Georgia of the NFL?
Well, I mean, Georgia. We saw Georgia get it last night.
That was a burning hot take, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean. Listen, I mean, your take on the Cowboys and Dak when on the top of the show with his, with the overs, unders, and the points. I mean, I think they're a great pick just as
I get
Super
paid
Bowl.
to say all that.
Yeah, but nonetheless, I mean, I think they're what? I mean, my one buddy showed me over when we were at the game. I think 12-1 odds to win the Super Bowl. I mean, I don't know if we were pulling teams out of a hat and you pulled the Patriots and I pulled the Cowboys and Gabe pulled the Chiefs. I don't really feel like you guys have any better.
That's a good point.
Chance of winning than the Cowboys. I just think those odds. And that team, I mean, the offense is trying to catch up with that defense. And
I think Dak's going to shut up a lot of critics.
Yeah, and they can. They have the talent. And the way that defense is playing, and we know the offense is there. It's just a matter of them getting hot.
All right, I'm going to give this away because we know the histrionics of 40 years ago. I can tell you exactly where I was in Fayetteville, Arkansas during watching the catch on TV from Montana to Clark, and we know that set off the 49ers' great run. That was the end of the Cowboys until Jimmy Johnson took over. With that game and how much we talk about it, what do y'all think the all-time series between the Cowboys and the 49ers in the postseason? Where do you think it stands?
I'll go
Cowboys by a few games.
That's it, Gabe. But it's the power of one signature moment. Cowboys lead all-time in the playoffs 5-2. We talk about one game.
Yeah. That was. And well, you know what? That was you're the new kids on the block, and you're going to be here the battle. And you know what? I'm curious. Was that their first game they met? Did all the other ones come after that?
No. They had a classic in the early '70s. Tom Landry against Dick Nolan out at Candlestick. But the 49ers have only beat the Cowboys 2 times. The other one was in the mud. Remember at Candlestick when they beat Aikman, Irvin, and Smith. And Dion and Michael Irvin made absolute fools of themselves that day fighting each other.
Brett, I told you last time we were texting after the show last week, and all of you listeners in Memphis, you guys don't know what kind of treasure you have for a guy just to reel that off. I know that's in his head. Those weren't notes. So anyone just out there thinking that there was some great game in the 70s, nobody. I had no idea, and I guarantee probably 99.9% of the listeners, unless they were at that game, would have remembered that.
In fact, the Cowboy miracle comeback against the 49ers, it got lost in history because guess what else happened that day, December 23rd, 1972, Franco's Immaculate Reception. That was the early game, Cowboys-Niners, the late game.
Wow, that's excellent.
Real quick before we get you out of here, Bo, sort of a 2-horse race for the MVP this year, looking like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. Who you got?
Oh, I got Rodgers. I mean, yeah, I think statistically and just the way he's played the game, absent of the opener in New Orleans when the whole team just looked, wow, what happened there against, in Jacksonville against the Saints. But he's been on another level. And Brady's had some real ugly, I think, games. I mean, he's had brilliant games, but I just think the body of the work, I mean, there's been no peaks and valleys. It's almost been just a complete rise up to the Phoenix, if you will. I think there's been more chippy-choppy games in Brady's thing. Absent of the age, but hey. But you put it this way, you take either one of those guys off, neither one of them would be a good football team. But I just think the way Aaron Rodgers has played, he's just been phenomenal.
Yeah, and Tom Brady, one of the two quarterbacks who ended up with a 5,000-yard year with Justin Herbert. I still feel, based on that Sunday night game, I feel robbed of a Justin Herbert playoff appearance.
Yeah, it was. I tell you what, that was a crazy game. I got, I don't know how much time we have, but I literally I got home. I walked in the door. I had the phone on the game on my phone, and I'm watching the play. My wife was on the couch. I walked in and kissed her, and I said, "Hold on 1 second," and that's when Herbert threw the pass to Mike Williams to tie the game at the end. But I didn't even know if he catch it because right when he caught the ball, my daughter called me on my phone, so my screen changed to her. So my wife's like, "Oh," and she was down, so I was just like, "Oh," so I ended up, talking to my daughter, and then I, put the game on and I watched the rest in OT. But listen, go ahead.
What's the drive time from Eastern Ohio to Baltimore? From Youngstown to Baltimore, what was your total car time?
5 hours.
Well, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Oh no,
I've done it a million times on a football day.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you know what? Anything 5-6 hours, I'm told. When I get to 8, I'm like, meh. But yeah, I mean, 5 hours that's like butter.
Yeah, they had that question on Twitter today. I did just a little bit off topic. They had a question on Twitter today. What's the longest 3-hour drive in America? There's a lot of those. I can think of.
I think Columbus is for me. I'd rather drive back to Baltimore than drive to Columbus, and it's 2 hours closer. I just don't like the drive.
Yeah, I hear you. But he is Bo Marchant at Bo Marchant on Twitter from collegepro.com.
Thank
Bo,
you, man.
always appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bo.
Stay safe, gentlemen. Talk to you next week.
You too. Talk to you, Bo, at Bo Marchant on Twitter. When we come back, we get to what's trending. And there's some things in the NFL we need to discuss. Also, a couple of news notes out of the MLB as they move forward on Thursday. They will meet the MLBPA and the MLB. We will discuss when we come back on Sports 56 98.5.
Sports 56 Happy Hour with Johnny Radio, presented by Tito's Vodka, from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I'm Brian Elder, 867-0303. Hurricane season is upon us. Is your roof ready? Are your shingles laying down and sealed properly? Call me right now, 867-0303. They say you get what you pay for. That's why my opinion is free. Maybe you've got years of life left in your roof. If so, I'll tell you that. But if I find storm damage or a compromised roof system, I'll lay out some options for you. Don't let them tell you it needs to be replaced if it only needs a repair. Call me, 867-0303. Has your insurance company already seen it and rejected your claim? Maybe they're correct. Most of the time, they're not. They do tend to become more reasonable once I get involved, though. 867-0303. I'll measure your roof from outer space or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
General contractors, subcontractors, Zipcat can help you find workers for the jobs you're needing done. Contractors, just post your jobs on Zipcat for the price you want them done for. Subcontractors will find the jobs listed on Zipcat and offer to buy them. You both have 3 days to accept and approve the subcontracting job you bought. For the best tool in your toolbox, download the Zipcat app. Roofers, concrete, plumbers, HVAC, painters, download it free. Zipcat, Z-I-P-C-A-T. Z-I-P-C-A-T. That's Zipcat.
Say there was a place, the perfect place for everything you need for tailgates and patios, grills and chairs, charcoal and coolers, everything to make a great game or a great day. That perfect place wouldn't be a warehouse. It's East Memphis Ace Hardware. Locally owned and operated at Quince and White Station, East Memphis Ace Hardware is where you'll find Benjamin Moore paints, local plants from local growers, and Black & Decker tools. Around the block, what you need in stock with people who know their tailgates. Welcome to East Memphis Ace Hardware, the home convenience store.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Well, it started out
Final 30 minutes of the show today on a Tuesday of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats. Bryant Dacus in producing. Autos on listen line 901-360-8255. You can also watch us live and message us on our socials, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and at sports56whbq.com. All that driving talk with Bo reminded me of that Twitter question that was posted today. The longest 3-hour drives in America. I saw somebody this morning post and say the Memphis to Nashville. That is the longest 3.5-hour drive you'll ever take.
And roadkill, unbelievably, any time of the year, not just deer crossing time of year, but any time of the year, the roadkill between here and Nashville, it's very prominent.
Mm-hmm. My brother actually posed one to me when I was taking I was taking a visit to Illinois, Champaign, of course, when I was in high school and all that. Taking I-70 north out of St. Louis to Champaign, there is not anything in sight, just flat fields of grass on the way there. That's a long one too.
Gabe, I used to say I could go here to St. Louis with blindfolded, with my eyes shut.
Mm-hmm. That one's getting tough?
Getting a little tougher
that one's,
by myself,
right.
Nobody in the car with me. But here to Tuscaloosa has really gotten tough, and it used to not be.
Mm-hmm. The one to St. Louis for me is always relatively easy. It's just straight shot for the most, not scenic by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, it's 4.5 hours.
I tell you one I loved, because in Ole Miss, we've only played at Mizzou one time since they came into the league. It was fall of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
That stretch from kind of West St. Louis to Columbia, I loved.
Mm-hmm. Someone actually comes in on the text line 901-360-8255. If you want to drop your drive, they say Memphis to Jackson, Mississippi is the worst and most dangerous stretch with deer everywhere and nothing to look at. That becomes real boring. You could get tired very quickly on a drive like that. There's no question about it.
One night, totally joking. We the hardest Ole Miss road trip in the SEC is to College Station. It's just too far. I did drive it once. It's just too far. But at Ole Miss, to fly, we leave the facility. We leave the Manning Center by bus, go to Tupelo, and then charter out of Tupelo. So when you come back, you got to do everything in reverse. You got to land in Tupelo, and then bus from down Highway 6 back to Oxford. And one night it was very foggy. I mean, very foggy. Mm-hmm. And I took my seatbelt off on the bus. And Richard Cross said, "Why are you taking it off?" I said, "Because if a deer runs in front of this bus driver and he tries to avoid it and he flips it and we roll over about 8 times, I'm going to be dead regardless, and I don't want to be pinned in with the seatbelt on. So just let me fly about."
Another drive that I brought up to my brother today. He might get a kick out of this if he's listening, but actually no, he's on the air right now. But Iowa City to Des Moines. I went to Des Moines one time for the
that sounds like a country song
for the Iowa State Fair. Believe it or not,
I bet that's fun.
Oh, it's really cool. They got some good food there.
I've only been to Des Moines one time. Went on a tour of the Iowa State Capitol. It's gorgeous. And that night, Dave Woloshin was doing TV. Mm-hmm. We called an Arena Football League game.
Oh, gosh. The Barnstormers?
Against the Memphis Pharaohs. Memphis won on a last-second field goal by Brian Lee.
Kurt Warner was a Barnstormer, correct?
Kurt Warner was the starting quarterback.
How about it?
And they pulled him that night.
He was that bad?
He was struggling. They pulled Kurt Warner and put in Jake Kelchner.
Where's Jake Kelchner now?
I don't know.
Insurance
worked out well for Kurt Warner, though.
It did work out well for Kurt Warner.
Brian Lee hit the buzzer for the Pharaohs that night.
I never got to make it to an Arena Football League.
It was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun. Summertime, something to do.
After my college career, though, I got invited to a few Arena Football League.
You didn't want to. No.
Yeah,
a knee in the shoulder is not worth that.
Yeah, it isn't. It really isn't. And they get the bonuses for getting into the playoffs and winning playoff games and everything else. But no, it wasn't.
It was kind of barnstormer football.
Speaking of Iowa, when it comes to cities, I mean, I've been to just about everywhere, and I've been to Des Moines, been to Iowa City. I've been to the Quad Cities. Cannot name the Quad Cities, though. I know Bettendorf is one of them. Cannot name the Quad
Moline.
Cities. Okay. Are we positive that Moline is
I'm
one?
positive
I know
Bettendorf and
Bettendorf
Moline are.
I can't name the Quad Cities.
The other two, Dubuque.
I don't think Dubuque's one. I don't think it is. I can't name the Quad Cities though.
Cedar Rapids not in there?
Cedar Rapids is, right?
Is it?
It's got to be.
Help us on the quad.
Come on.
Rob Fisher would always ask this question around the golf tournament up there.
I'm sure he can name all of them.
Lickety split.
Come on. I need it, Bryant. I need it.
It's
going to bother me.
It's Rock Island and what one of y'all said it, Moline, and then Davenport and Bettendorf.
Davenport, that's what it is. That's one I should have gotten.
Yeah.
I
miss it every time.
I can't do it. I actually had a night out.
That Iowa State Capitol is gorgeous.
Had a night out in Quad Cities one night.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
That sounds like a country song, too.
Oh, great time. Night out in Quad Cities?
You know,
you going to make that one?
Visiting and touring state capitol buildings, one of my things.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Even Des Moines.
Des Moines was gorgeous.
Really?
St. Paul, Minnesota. The state capitol is not in Minneapolis. It's in St. Paul.
Mm-hmm. But they're
right there by each other. But it is maybe my favorite.
Okay.
Annapolis, gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm right there with you.
Georgia, not so much. Atlanta, not much. Austin, Texas state capitol, unbelievable.
Yeah, Austin's a good one. Why not? You're not an Atlanta fan.
Well, it's just downtown, and it's
you don't like the big city for a capital.
I like a state capital being like Jefferson City.
Yeah, right.
Like Franklin, Kentucky, kind of off the beaten path. You would Salem,
Springfield,
Oregon,
Illinois.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I hear you. Now into a little bit of sports. In the NFL. We have the Browns. The Browns have finally – there's been some sort of back and forth with Baker Mayfield, Kevin Stefanski. Are they getting along? Yada, yada, yada. Browns are going to go into the next year, and the expectation is for Baker to start. And the question for me becomes with Baker Mayfield, is he going to be it seems like it's coming to a really bad end for him there.
It does.
But
I'm shocked by
can he save himself? Is the question that comes to me. I'm not.
Will he make it to the starting gate next year to try to save himself?
But and then also, if that's the question, who are they going to go and get? Who are they going to get on the open market? Deshaun Watson has come up. I don't know how realistic of an option that is, given what's going on with him.
Boy, there's a lot to settle there before you can commit to that.
Then people say Russell Wilson. I don't buy Russell Wilson going to Cleveland
Russell
with Sierra.
Wilson to New Orleans seems.
That seems more likely. And that would, my gosh.
And all this impacts Matt Corral's draft status.
Yes. Who are some teams? I mean, Matt Corral is an interesting one for me, Brett. I really want him to end up in the right hands. And that's most of the battle when you talk about quarterbacks in the NFL. But with him in particular, he has a style about him. I've seen him in the wrong system, and it was not pretty.
No, it was not. It sure wasn't. But I was happy for Matt Luke last night, but it wasn't Matt's fault in that style. That was more Phil Longo and Rich Rod, particularly the latter.
And also, Phil Longo, I know he probably got some credit for 2 seasons ago what he did.
He sure took the credit.
What he did with all of the weapons they had, De'Ami Brown, Javonte Williams, all those guys at North Carolina. This year, there's no excuse to run Sam Howell at 6 foot, 185 pounds, the amount he did. I thought that was shameful, honestly, this year.
They tried to turn him into Christian Okoye.
It was ridiculous. Running him in between the tackles. He has no business doing that. And not to mention, you're talking about an NFL draft guy. You could have hurt him. I thought that was
now,
pretty
ridiculous. Where I am on Malik Willis in the draft. And a lot of it was out of the one time I got to see him live in Oxford, and he just wasn't very good.
Mm-hmm.
But it was one day.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. Malik Willis, we'll see what happens with him. I think that as far as the development goes, he's going to have a lot of it before he becomes a relevant pro.
I don't know if any of the first rounders, Pickett, Corral, Willis, are expected to be immediately franchise guys.
Well, my assessment of the whole thing, I think Pickett makes sense with most teams. Makes sense. He seems like a more, as far as systems goes, he seems like a guy who can conform to most systems in the NFL. That's what I'd say about him. And he is the prototype looking NFL quarterback of this draft class at this point. 6'4", 220 pounds, has a decent arm. Good, can move a little bit. Probably about a 4.6, 4.7.
You know, what's Minnesota going to do with a whole new front office, new coach? Are they going to move away from Kirk Cousins? Would they want to draft a quarterback?
Mm-hmm.
That would be a pretty good situation for a rookie. Pickett or Corral.
Now, before we get into the MLB sort of depression going on, they're going to meet on Thursday. We'll talk about it in a second. Rachel Balkovec made history yesterday, and if you don't know her name, she's going to manage the Tampa Bay Tarpons. She'll be the first female manager in pro baseball. Obviously, the Tampa Bay Tarpons, low A for the Yankees organization. She's a former softball catcher. She was in college at New Mexico and Creighton. She started in the Cardinals organization, though, as a strength and conditioning coach, and joined the Yankees organization in 2019 as a hitting coach. So
now we will have minor league baseball this summer, regardless, even if it's stalemate, lockout, and intractable, no baseball, major league level. Minor league baseball, the show will go on.
Yep, and Rachel will be the first female manager. I thought that was an interesting little note. Now, MLB is going to propose, the league, of course, is going to propose a new economic plan to the MLB Players Association over the next few weeks. They're going to meet on Thursday. And, Brett, I know that we always talk about getting closer to the deadline. We'll push this sort of across the finish line, hopefully. But I just don't have much hope. I just
Zero.
Don't. Because what they're disagreeing upon is so vital to both of their plans going forward.
It's why we're locked out.
It's about early arbitration and about getting to free agency earlier. And I don't see the MLB as a league giving much ground there, and I don't see the Players Association giving much ground there.
Why would the Players Association to come this far to get it? And if you're going to agree on this, when's the meeting scheduled? Thursday? Then
I didn't see.
Then why did you ever lock out? I mean, you could have gotten this done in December.
It's just, it's interesting, and all the while I was listening to a podcast I normally listen to by the Sports Business Journal this morning, and the MLB is in discussions with Apple right now about possibly having midweek games with Apple TV.
Well, that's a great sign because
it's a good
people
sign.
at Apple don't do dumb things, and they're not rolling on with kind of standard operating business practices for something that's not going to happen.
But I'll tell you, my first reaction though is, what the hell is Apple doing? Does that make sense for Apple's business? And
what do they know we don't know? A Tuesday night in Pittsburgh?
That's the question
midweek
I had.
Baseball?
And this is, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, this is kind of the equivalent of the NFL trying to transition some games to Amazon Prime is what it would be like as far as the pay and
I'm going to have to start
service.
Consuming sports like this.
Oh, it's been headed that way.
Will y'all help me sign up and get me all figured out on the Roku?
Yeah, I'll get you locked in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Shh, I'll give you a login, Brett.
Shh, I can't steal.
I'll give you a login. You don't have to steal. Just, I paid for it.
Next year on Thursday night, it'll be the only choice to watch NFL.
Is it really?
That's
it.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
Glad I get that student discount.
I'm glad I have Amazon Prime, man.
I got to be close to getting some senior discount, don't I?
Well, it's usually 65. What? Right?
Well, I'd be 60 in the fall. That's close enough, isn't it?
I don't know if close enough counts.
That's in the fine print.
Yeah, I don't know if close enough counts, but we'll see. I guess we'll put it to the test. I
never thought I'd be this married to my telephone, so I guess I'm gonna be married to watching the Roku and the Hulu.
No, it is
Join the club.
It is honestly terrifying.
Good Lord,
how attached I am to my phone.
I can leave my house without my suitcase for a trip before I can my phone.
No, it's scary. When you start feeling around in your pockets, you don't have your phone. It is full.
And it's in your hand. Oh, that's the worst.
Well,
I don't know if I've ever had.
Oh, I've done that. It's either sitting right in front of me or in my hand. I'm going, oh my gosh, where is it? I'm checking all my pockets. I'm looking all around. It's in my hand.
I have looked for my glasses, and guess where I found them?
On your face.
They were on.
You found them. At
Yeah.
least that's a good sign. We'd have trouble.
First sign should have been that you could
never
see.
actually figured them out.
It happens.
Well, when we come back, we're going to go ahead and put a wrap on this Tuesday edition of Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ. Listen to us daily on 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world at sports56whbq.com or on the Sports 56 app.
I'm with John Burgos in the alley at the world-famous Rendezvous. John, it's so good to see you. How are things at the restaurant?
Thank you, Brett. We are here and we're making it. I have to say a big thank you to all of our customers that ordered food during the curbside days, bought gift certificate when times were slow, ordered food to be shipped from our shipping kitchen, and then came back down to eat when our doors reopened. We owe a debt to the Memphis and surrounding community for supporting us when we need it. I hope y'all all come eat some barbecue with us, but I also hope you'll support our local restaurants. And if your service is a little slow or an item isn't on the menu that you enjoy, cut them a little slack. Hopefully it'll be there soon.
Thank you, John. We appreciate you for feeding all of us, and we will take that advice to heart.
Brett, we also have a new twist at the Rendezvous. We now have outdoor dining. It's in the side alley along the Rendezvous, not the one in the front. And depending on the weather and depending on staffing, please call ahead to make sure we're open. And we hope it becomes a mainstay here at the Rendezvous.
Mr. Charlie Virgos' world-famous Rendezvous in the alley in downtown Memphis.
Get in the swing of things. Grab your friends, your clients, your employees, and go enjoy everything you love about Topgolf in a luxury suite. While at Memphis' only Topgolf Swing Suite at Erling Jensen's Small Bites. Topgolf Swing Suite is an immersive social experience offering guests a luxury private lounge to enjoy Erling Jensen's extraordinary food and beverage service, all while playing a selection of games in a one-of-a-kind simulation day. Topgolf Swing Suites are great for work outings, celebrations, or just getting together. It's fun for the whole family. It's fun for golfers and non-golfers alike. They have more than just golf. They have soccer, baseball, zombie dodgeball, football, and more. Located at 5069 Sainterland, adjacent to the Doubletree East Memphis. Check us out at swingsuitememphis.com or call us at 901-58-SWING. Again, that's 901-58-SWING at Memphis' only Topgolf Swing Suite at Erling Jensen's Small Bites. Book your suite today.
Nothing says Happy New Year like getting the SUV, car, or truck you want to drive into 2022. Everything you want is here at the new Auto Universe Germantown. Have you heard about this? Nothing but the best. The finest vehicles you'll see in one place anywhere. Make it to the lot and showroom on Winchester just off 385. Auto Universe is a lot full of luxury automobiles like Lexus, Infiniti, Audi, Jeep, Mercedes, Nissan, Honda, Chevy, Toyota. And get this, no haggle pricing. If you're looking for a slightly driven, previously loved pre-owned vehicle, you got to see these at Auto Universe Germantown, and they tell me they're adding more by the hour. Or go to eautouniverse.com. Happy New Year from their family to yours. The only dealership you'll ever need. Unbelievable selection, simplified financing, top service technicians, even collision repair. Everything you want in one place. It's at 7300 Winchester, just off 385. Only the best make it here to Auto Universe Germantown. That's eautouniverse.com.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 115 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats. So easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. Stock up heavy on all of your favorite Dinstall's treats. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is Geraldo. It is crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Brett, I have to start Taco Bell Crunch Time with a shout-out to my man Gabe Sane, Anthony Sane's son.
Gabe.
Loyal listener. Share a name with him. Loyal listener of Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
Yes.
Quick shout-out. What I learned today is you talk about RBU for Memphis, 5 running backs that made good appearances in the NFL this year. It's kicker you, too.
Sure is.
Jake Elliott, 90.9% on field goals this year. That's his best completely. It also went completely unscathed in extra points. In today's game, that's unbelievable to think about. Also, Riley Patterson, who ended the year with the Lions, he set a record for the Lions for the Lions franchise, most consecutive field goals made to start a career. He had 10 straight to start his career. So good job for both of those guys, both former teammates.
I'm right there with you. What I learned today, of course, everybody ecstatic for the late, great Coach Billy J. Murphy to go in the College Football Hall of Fame come next December. So happy for his family. And who will be the next Tiger someday in the College Football Hall of Fame? I think that man named D'Angelo can get ready someday.
Yep. I think that'll be in order relatively soon. What I could have done without, this coming down not a surprise, but I certainly could have done without it. This is from Adam Schefter, of course, NFL reporter for ESPN. Jameson Williams did indeed tear his ACL last night versus Georgia. And doctors believe that after surgery, within the next 10 days, he will be able to retain his speed, and they expect a full recovery. And that's the thing nowadays.
Terrible offseason, though.
You can talk about the ACL, MCL, all that repair in your knee being tough, but today's medicine has made it a lot easier on these guys. And while it's tough to hear, you certainly have the inkling. You certainly think Jameson Williams will be able to get back to full speed.
You know, that's been one of the fair knocks on some Alabama players. The whole saying, you come out of Alabama with a championship ring and a major surgery. Because it's big, rough stuff football.
Real quick, that picture I sent you last night, I almost could have done without that to see. I sent you a picture last night. They did 5. It was 5 wide, I believe, in 2018 for Alabama. Receivers on the field. On the field, John Mechie, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Jerry Jeudy, and I know this is a tough name
Henry
to bring
Ruggs.
up, but Henry Ruggs.
Yeah.
And 5 wide. Could you imagine Tua throwing to those guys?
It was like a relay team. It was unreal, the speed to watch. I could have done without the college football way too early top 25s and my football 4. But at least with the top 25s, they have it half right. It is way too early, but this is where Texas dominates. This is the time of year between now and when we actually play football again that Texas is really good. It just doesn't matter.
They got Quinn Ewers. What?
Got Sark. Got a lot of money.
What does having Sark mean, though, after this year?
What does it mean?
After this year, I don't know what that means. Not much.
And what does it mean looking at his track record as a head coach at UW and at SC?
Not great. Not great. Also, this is something I did learn today. I couldn't have done. I mean, I'm glad this happened, but I thought this was interesting. Tom Brady, there's a story about how he would not leave the field on Sunday in the 41-17 win over the Panthers until Gronk hit his incentives. Gronk had to get $1 million.
He was going to get Gronk paid.
Two $500,000 incentives on the line. He needed 7 catches, 85 yards. Tom Brady pulled himself from the game once Gronk got his 7th catch. Gronk finished with 7 catches, 137 yards. Tom Brady is the GOAT for that. I mean, at the very least, he does try to take care of his teammates. He tried to take care of Antonio Brown and still didn't work out. But
sure did.
He puts his heart out there for some
I know
people.
what we're watching tonight. FedEx Forum, downtown Memphis should be full tonight. It should be Grizz Fever, Ja Mania, Steph in town. Not as cold as last week. It's not on a Monday. The holidays are over. No Tigers at home this week. It should be full tonight, shouldn't it?
It should. It should. I mean, that is one of the better games you're going to see here before the All-Star break. I mean, this is 2 of the best teams in the Western Conference. Klay Thompson is back. Ja, this 28-14 Grizzlies team, they're playing at the best. I mean, at one of the best levels we've seen this organization play at ever. I mean, not one of the best. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's the best stretch of Grizzlies basketball.
It's been fun.
Right now, we do have USC and Stanford going on right now. Number 5 USC
Stanford's
on the
up
road.
too.
Really?
Stanford
USC
up
going
68-66 with 1:38 to go. That could be their
One
first
of only
loss. 2
remaining
Boogie
undefeated.
is in prime Memphis on Memphis form. He has like 4 turnovers.
4 turnovers and
You
probably
love
what?
Boogie, though.
What?
I love Boogie. He has
12 points.
12 points. Yeah, he's playing well, but turnovers.
Fan club president,
turnover.
Brian
Yeah,
Jenkins.
that's me.
Baylor goes.
You're
going to
start a Facebook page, aren't you?
I will if I need to.
I'm going to start a TikTok account.
No, you're lying. You're lying.
I am lying.
Also, looking forward to ESPN2 will have Baylor, Texas Tech. That should be a really fun one.
Baylor at
Baylor's
home?
still undefeated. Baylor's still undefeated. Texas Tech, though, they have played well under Mark Adams. Iowa State versus Kansas.
That'll be a good one.
That should be a good one. Auburn, Alabama. A lot of good stuff in college
The Iron
basketball tonight.
Bowl on the hardwood.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Auburn, Alabama. Who you got?
I actually like Auburn.
Okay. Good to hear. Good to hear. But that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to Rob Fisher, Brent Beard, Dave Woloshin, and Beau Marchant for their contributions to the show. For Brett, for Brian, I'm Gabe. Enjoy your night. We'll holler at you tomorrow at 3.
They've raised the bar again at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. I like to say this is the new standard, the way car business should be done. And to prove it, out of 355 dealers in America that sell Genesis cars, the one in Olive Branch, Genesis of Olive Branch, was top 50 in the country, top 10 in the region, and number 2 in the district. And guess what? They want to be number 1. That means there are opportunities out there for you. It's the safest, and every new latest bit of technology that makes the experience of driving a car better, they've got it at Genesis of Olive Branch. If we start with the G70, the highest performing car I've ever owned, all the way to the G80 or the G90, the biggest of the sedans, you'll love everything about the car. If you would like to try the new SUV, the GV80, you call Vinny Gerard at 662-890-6684. He will bring it out to you.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You've heard of James Gaddis Jewelers, but have you heard what they've done lately? Everything! A tremendous selection of diamonds and jewels, gold, silver, and much more. Lots of watches, tons of custom-made jewelry, fine gemstones, bracelets, necklaces, so many choices. Romantics will love the one-of-a-kind estate and vintage jewelry. James Gaddis has experts to help you with wedding and engagement rings, plus 2 repair experts for fine watches and jewelry. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers at 4900 Poplar.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 115 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats. So easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. Stock up heavy on all of your favorite Dinstall's treats. 115 years of making Memphis